agendas, which one follows which is the first one, you know?
Finance.
Finance.
Oh.
It's gonna say it should be in the
Finance.
headers. I'm not able to
Personnel.
get it to do it in minute track.
Okay.
So I
All right, good.
haven't
I
emailed.
just want to, a lot of times, these following.
So it's in the order.
They are in order, yeah.
Okay,
That's
good.
Make it
That's
work
the way I
for
had
us.
it.
All right, so the YouTube is live.
Okay.
So everyone is
Don't
aware.
tell me I'm already in, it's already up.
I don't even think I have that icon on my desktop. I do. But,
Well, John, how was your trip?
Not long enough. Nice.
Nice, good.
Like I'm doing, then I go up here to my pending documents. And it'll bring up a whole list.
I don't remember
From
asking
the last
for all of this
years.
stuff printed out. I just wanted.
Oh, just the agendas themselves?
I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Like-
Yeah, because this.
Oh.
Nothing.
I thought you wanted them in
Well,
general.
I
I did email them.
Yeah, that's all I had.
I got
We
overzealous.
just cut down a tree.
yeah, I'm not 100%. I've been doing it this way.
Yeah.
Maybe Bob could give me like.
Minute track, I never
Plant
could
two
get it.
more.
It's gonna go the way I'm used to.
Which ain't a bad bit, but
Losing about a half minute a week on the clock. That's all.
Half minute a
We
week.
might just want to buy them.
2 weeks.
I'll look at it.
Minutes slow.
wasn't it so?
And
Right, haven't tried it yet, I just got it.
you can't leave it in the bag, you got to actually push it.
Are you all okay with starting at 6 PM Apple time, or do you want to wait till our clock on the wall says 6 PM?
But mine says
3
5:59.
o'clock on the wall.
Right, I'm saying once it turns 6,
Okay,
That clock is wrong.
it is.
It keeps slowing down.
the clock
It's 6
downtown is
o'clock.
working.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to City of Mayville Finance Committee meeting of the whole, Monday, April 24th, 6 PM. Please take the roll.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Here.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Here.
Alderperson Roger Smith,
Here.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Here,
Alderperson Kim Olson. Here, we have a forum.
Mr. President, item 2, pledge of allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, approval of the minutes from the March 27th, 2023 Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the March 27, 2023 Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Motion by Alderman Roger Smith,
I'll second.
second by Bob Smith. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Are there any citizen comments this evening? The Finance Committee? All right, item number 5, Tax Center report. First part is the membership report, which will be read in by Annie.
I have a report from Michaela. Her lifeguard certification was running late, so she wasn't able to get here in time. For the membership report, she did not have anything. She did go on to the staffing update. They're still looking for part-time employees. They're looking for cleaners and building supervisors. They must be available for nights and weekends. They need lifeguards. They must be available for weekday nights. Swim lesson instructors, front desk clerk, weekday nights and weekend days for both of those. And all positions come with the free membership. For maintenance report, she gave information that Scott Coleman's Burger provided to her For the parking lot, asphalt specialist came and evaluated the parking lot and proposed a $27,000 estimate cost for the redo. This does not include repainting the parking stall lines, excuse me. For the roof, they contacted Lopez Roofing. They came in to assess the roof in order to propose an estimate for repair on April 3rd. They have not yet received that proposal. For the pool deck, they received confirmation by Carico Aquatics Director that the pool deck will be painted during the scheduled shutdown in August, beginning on the 14th through the 18th of August. And with regards to the heating and air ducts and vents, they received routine maintenance and cleaning throughout the building. Recreation report, summer adult softball signups are underway. Men's league starts May 17th at Ziegler, and women's league starts May 18th at the Malt House. She has 5 teams for men's league, 4 teams for women's leagues. The summer adult bags will also be starting on May 17th on the side of the Ziegler softball diamond. It's $25 a team. They don't have any teams signed up at this moment. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering about the pool deck
Yeah.
floor. Were there other bids? Did they go outside? So as I suggested, like,
She did not clarify on that, but I would be happy
Well,
to
let's
send
just,
her
I
an
was gonna
email.
say that since Michaela's not here tonight, let's direct our email, you can email Michaela or give her a
I'll
call.
reach out to her.
Okay, you'll communicate that to the council?
Yeah, I'd be
Okay.
happy to.
Great, thank you.
Sorry. Short.
Oh, that's okay.
And the end of the recreation report, the summer kids sport program sampler and the craft and swim program will be going on again. She has to finalize the dates of when she can teach both those classes at this time.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did our baseball teams go way down?
She did not give me information on prior years. Do you know, John?
Yeah, no, they did not.
Oh, good,
They said with it moving, with continuing that they all signed up again this year.
all right, good,
So, yep.
thank you.
All right, item 6, treasurer's report.
The server upgrade was delayed as the equipment purchased late last year did not meet the specs necessary. So we've exchanged that equipment for proper equipment and rescheduled the migration for this Thursday. We're continuing to see corruption in the current software, so we're trying to use it very minimally, as we know we're gonna have to go back and review everything and correct any errors. The software upgrade is scheduled for the month of May. That'll take place over multiple days with different trainings. The city has 2 CDs at BMO that are coming up for renewal. They will need to be renewed before June council meeting. I did reach out to all the other local banks to compare rates. BMO still offers the highest rate at 4.3%. The CDs replaced, 2 CDs originally replaced at 250,000 each, so together combined they're a little over 500,000. They were replaced back in 2017. No one since has taken the time to renew them properly, so they've only been earning 0.5%. So that equated to about $20,000 in loss of potential revenue last year alone. So I'll make sure I at least renew them properly this year. The DNR annual recycling report I have finished and I'm waiting to upload into the DNR switchboard site once that's open. It is due by the end of the month, but the DNR has suspended that they're having internal issues. So they said whatever time that the site's down, they'll extend the end date past that. So I just need to be able to log in once that's up and running. The expenditure restraint report is due April 30th. I've been reviewing this and working through several areas in this year's budget, which makes it difficult to finish out that report process. There's also errors on previous years, so I'm trying to work through that, and I may have to just give a call to the state and see how to handle that. So I anticipate finishing that up this week. Filing quarterly, all the quarterly payroll reports are almost done. I did receive notice that there are still some errors from last year's reports. So I'll have to restart, go back and maybe do something of those. I worked on redeveloping the Excel spreadsheets, anticipating the budgeting process. I'm kind of reformatting all of them completely, as the budget spreadsheet that you've been working on had several errors that weren't totaling properly. Baker Tilly did finish up the TID reporting, so I have those reports here if you want to review them. I think they'll present them, they're hoping to present in June. It's kind of their anticipation date, but I did go ahead and get those filed with the state, just to stay ahead of that. And, we've been working still on, with Baker Tilly and, some of the auditing issues we've been working with there from the previous audits. Mike Mandler was hoping to have an update for you, but he and John Rader with Baker Tilly are still working on it, and they have not come to a conclusion as of yet. They said they're getting closer, but they did not provide me with details as to what those numbers are.
And what's the dollar amount we're talking about that they're trying to reconcile?
The original dollar amount was in excess of $400,000. They have not, they said they've resolved some of the issues, but they have not resolved it all as of yet.
Thank you.
I've talked to John Rader, we're friends for the last 16 years. I talked to him at his mother's house for an hour and a half today, so I have some information about that.
Quick question. Any closer or view only for Casella, reports?
That's with the server upgrade.
Yeah,
So we're hoping if we do that Thursday, you know, Civic's software is, you know, they're pretty adamant, or in their minds, the errors that we're seeing is causing when the server is being delayed. So reports are hitting, things are hitting twice, or it's being corrupted as it's being uploaded. So they're very hopeful that when we get on the new server, that will resolve the issue. So,
Kim, I want to clarify, you specifically, which function in Cassell were you interested in?
that would be for the, accounts receivable and payable.
Okay, but it wasn't about the department heads being able to view their own reports or having view.
No, it's just that, so that we have an idea what's going on, because we don't have any idea. I saw for view only, whoever's on this committee or council could view only what's going on.
So view only, that's why I asked, it's an entirely different thing, and the city did not license the ability to have additional users with view only access. But that's something that will come before the council or committee to review. There's licensing fees that are involved with that, but there's several modules and components that were not included in the Cassell upgrade that I would argue should have been and were passed over, and that's just one of them, and there's probably 3 others.
That was one of my questions, visiting other villages and cities, you know, that their people were able to view where we, and I've been bringing that up for years, how come we can't see it?
It
Yeah.
would certainly increase efficiency, take some workload off the city hall by allowing department heads to go into their specific budget and GL line items. So yeah, I agree.
Okay.
That would be a major step forward. But it's got to come before the council so that we can look at licensing that functionality.
and I'm waiting for Civic to get back to us on updated contract pricing with that. The contract, the last one that I was given, that I seen, apparently wasn't even the one that was signed. The one that was signed had even taken out the payroll module, as they had anticipated you guys were working on going to ADP. So we actually have to add that cost back in to even get payroll module or keep the payroll module. And then the additional modules that we had talked about. I did discuss with Civic, yes, if they would be willing to give us those modules currently while we go through this upgrade process, but spread the contract price over 2 years, so we could count what we've already paid this year towards it, and then budget for the remainder next year. And he sounded like he felt he could be able to do that, but he'd have to rewrite the contract.
Okay.
When do we choose the modules? When do we choose the
Some
upgrade?
From my recollection, it was sometime either
The mayor, June.
early 2022, the first half of 2022.
And you didn't review them at the time? You wouldn't have picked
I
that?
asked for a comprehensive report. I was told everything was included that we need.
Okay. Good.
But one thing I do want to point out is that, and I'll ask you to think about on your own personal computer, if you have any softwares on your PC that haven't been updated in 8 years, and what might the result be if you tried to log into a system that hadn't had a single software update and wasn't even supported for a period of 8 years. And that's really what we're up against. So it's not a matter of backing up the data. It's a matter of the data is corrupt. And not only is the database itself corrupt, the executable on top of that, the software itself is not pointing to the right spots and it's not pulling in accurate data. So it's a major issue and it's a major deficiency in our operating systems and we have to
All I'm
correct
trying to
it.
point out is that
Well, I wasn't.
you were here when we chose the modules and the lack of modules, if you could have said something then. But that's okay.
I'm sure. I wasn't here 8 years ago, the problem. So, but thank you for your input. All right, other items for discussion and possible action. First item, presentation from Ehlers regarding investment advisory services.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. And you all should have the presentation in front of you. So the first thing that we will take a peek at, and I should introduce myself first, right? I'm Tammy Olszewski. So I won't ask you to say my last name or spell it. Unless maybe later we want to, but so I'm with Ehlers and you've seen a number of our associates over the years. So you probably last saw Phil Constant. And through our discussions and really exploration of what is going on with your current financial status as well as in the past and looking forward into what you're looking to accomplish. He thought it was important for me to meet with your team and provide an overview of our services. Now, I have actually met with a number of your staff over the years, and a lot of this is, you've had some turnover, you have a lot of things going on. You actually, as mentioned by Angie, you have some CDs that are coming due, so it's a really timely topic right now, right? So first and foremost, one of the things that you have in front of you is just a summary of our services. And if you think about Ehlers as a company, we are a financial services firm. We help you with your debt issuance, debt maintenance, as well as we can help with some cash management, treasury management, and investments. So we have a number of services that are all, they're custom designed to what you need as a community, but also we integrate together. So anything going on, we're all fully aware of, and we surround you with expertise and guidance to make really important financial decisions. So a lot of what's going on right now, just thinking through some of what I know about your community as well as what's been going on with your team, there's been some inconsistencies in turnover in staff, and all that means is certain things they get tossed on the back burner, right? So you mentioned the CDs that are coming due at BMO. Just to give you an idea, market rates do change on a daily basis. However, we have seen a significant increase in rates across the board over the last year. What that means to you is that those CDs basically, and I don't like to look at it as lost income because the primary objective with any municipal funds is safety first. So if you're meeting that objective, at least you are meeting the bare minimum. What I'm here to talk through is some opportunity for strategy enhancement, as well as from an audit perspective, giving you another control mechanism. So I did go back through a couple of years of audits. One of the things that I focus heavily on, my background is compliance and legal. So even though I'm an investment professional, and that was really some of the things that I focused on in college, I did actually work for a period of time for another financial firm in compliance. And that actually brought me to municipal funds because it occurred to me that there's kind of a gap, right? So there's a lot of policies and parameters and procedures that go into making important financial decisions. You are fiduciaries for your community. You've been elected in your positions. You ultimately are the voice and decision-making group for your community. I work as a fiduciary on behalf of the city. I work for you. And if you were to look at our services and choose or elect to move forward with them, I basically will provide you with policy parameters that will be within the constraints of state statutes, so we keep you compliant. But I also focus heavily on making sure that your entire group, internally and from a council level, are fully aware of the decisions being made, why they're being made, how that all fits into the legal parameters under statute, But also I bring that level of expertise in reporting efficiency. So thinking through your new system that you are going to be upgrading, we have a lot of reporting mechanisms that are not only view only for any of your council staff that wishes to see it, but also internal staff. The key here is we try to make it as simple as possible. So as you go through that upgrade, you will have a lot of reporting mechanisms within the investment component and cash management. We try to make sure that we are making sure that the city has everything they need to pay their bills, right? Kind of the baseline. We're keeping things safe. But long-term, it's also guiding you through some of those decisions so that you can make them earn some additional income where possible, right? So one of the first things that we like to think through is why our group, right? So Ehlers Investments, we've been around since, for over 10 years. We actually started this business. It was through another company for a little while. We merged together, but we really started it because we saw a gap, if you will. Municipalities were given all this money from taxpayers, right? It's not your money necessarily, it's the money of the community. And unless you have investment professionals on staff, there are some missing components. We also started to focus heavily on your legal responsibilities. So when you think about what we are doing, we act as a fiduciary for you. We ultimately are helping to guide your decisions, but that still lies on your group as well as your internal staff. So we're an inexpensive way to add extra staff and expertise that you may not have as part of your actual internal staff. When you think about the reporting mechanism, and actually I will point to, as we're thinking through reports, one of the things that we focus heavily on is customized reports that are tailored to municipal entities. So when you think about municipal investments, it's a little bit different than say your retirement fund, right? But your retirement advisor might have different goals and objectives that they are working on for you as an individual. These funds, because they are public funds, there's parameters that are required by state that you must follow. Of course, from an audit perspective, we want to make sure that everything ties out. And from an accounting perspective, at the end of the month, someone from your team needs to account for all of the investments, their market value fluctuations, any income that was received, as well as fees. Now, on page 7, this is just a summary report. So you talked about transparency or visibility within your current software packages. There are reports that are available to you. We summarize all of the detail that you may be interested in seeing on a monthly basis. And we further enhance that by also allocating or providing some of the reporting capabilities to your internal team. So when you log on every month, you can basically see what the current values are. You can see all of the reporting. You are able to very easily identify any income as well as fees. But the point here is they're very specific to municipal entities. If you think about from a competitive standpoint, and the reason that I really am here is because you've done a nice job of putting together and building up fund balance, right? So these are funds, just like on your personal level, you don't ever just run your checking account down to zero. So they're taxpayer dollars, you want to put them to work in an appropriate manner, but you also want to make sure that you have funds for cash flow, for operational expenses, future project planning. Putting this money to work is one way that you can show your community, hey, you pay this money, not only are we using it for day-to-day expenses, but we're putting it for good use for the future planning. When we think about from a competitive standpoint, calling around to local banks, that's time that is not well spent with your internal staff. That's something that we already do. So on a daily basis, a member of our team is reaching out to local and regional banks as well as national market providers. So any of your local banks that you work with, we probably already get quotes from. If we don't, we can always add them to the list. But the reality is someone from your team doesn't have to do all of that. Someone from your team doesn't have to think through, is this a good rate? Is it a bad rate? What are you looking at to compare? We bring that level of expertise. So on page 8, we do focus a lot on not only your local community and regional banks, but we do compare them to a national market. Just giving you an idea, some of these rates are actually from last week, so they've already shifted slightly. We are seeing an increase in rates across the board still pretty steadily. I won't bore you with details, but when we think about how we are making recommendations for you, there is a national market of investments available to you as a community, even beyond just CDs or depository products. There's another product that you may even hear about called the LGIP. It's a local government investment pool. It is a cash-like instrument that's paying 4.62%, and it's posted every month. I have a cash product that's fully liquid, paying over 5%. And again, it's not so much that one or the other is better. It's just pointing out to you that there are some very low risk investment vehicles available to you. And as long as you have the expertise and guidance to make those decisions based upon not only what's compliant or within your policies, but also permissible under state statutes, you then have a different level of knowledge base. You can put that money to work in a more strategic manner. So we often focus on a national market of broker dealers. Those are individuals that you can also buy investments directly from. However, we recommend that you get multiple quotes if you're doing it on your own. That just adds administrative burden to your team, whereas within our services, we do that on your behalf. Just to give you an idea, if we think about safe investment vehicles, we oftentimes are looking at cash-like investments, CDs, which carry the FDIC insurance or NCUA coverage, or even US Treasuries. US Treasuries are something that we oftentimes will focus heavily on because they are backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. You also can invest, of course, in municipal obligations. I didn't put those here because they're not the highest yielding right now. Surprisingly to you, if you go issue debt, the rates are going up, but they're still pretty low. So from a comparative standpoint, US Treasuries and CDs tend to be more favorable right now. If we think about short-term and long-term, I actually have updated rates from DNB Bank. They're offering an 18-month CD at 5.15%. So again, this is really just for you to see, hey, what's going on in the markets. These rates do change pretty regularly. Part of it is putting a plan in place, being strategic and competent in the investment decisions you're making. It's not about locking your money up and saying, oh my gosh, we're stuck with it for 24 months or 18 months. You know, you made that decision, or somebody made the decision last year to reinvest them for a year. Rates obviously shifted pretty dramatically from when that investment was made. And of course, who had what to compare it to. So I'm not pointing any fingers, but part of it is you may or may not have the expertise on internal staff to make some of those decisions confidently, and that's where we come in. Now, I say all of this because a lot of what we offer, it's not based upon specific products. We really do focus on a broad array of investment vehicles. So one of the components that you probably also saw is the investment policy. I see everyone has a copy of that as well. One of the first steps in our entire process, and actually if you take a peek at page 9, it really just summarizes our process. One of the first things that I asked Annie for when I met with her is, hey, what's your policy look like? What parameters have you guys established over the years? And you know, there's some policy documents I found from almost 20 years ago. So who knows what decisions were made that time ago? Were any of you on the council at that point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll ask you all of the really hard questions. But no, and all jokes aside, the investment policy really guides all of our decisions and recommendations from a compliance and legal standpoint. We make sure that what's in your policy matches up with what is required under statutes, but we can provide you some further refinements essentially that fit within what you need in the community. We build a cash forecast, and all that means for you is everyone internally knows exactly how much money you have, when it is available, and we can also shift some of the strategy based upon when you might need the money, right? So it's about long-range planning, making sure if you have a project coming up or a big expense, you know, we have a community, a couple communities over there buying a fire truck. Well, guess what? They're ordering that fire truck now, they're not going to see it for 2 years. So they have to make their deposit on it. And then we are investing the other funds until they need it. So this is just a minor example. We tailor all of our strategy to what you need. When we create that plan, you're not locked in the sense that you can't change your mind, right? All of our investments are marketable. It may not always be favorable or advisable for you to liquidate anything ahead of maturity, but it is available. We create a plan based upon what we know right now, and that can change, right? Any given day, you might have a catastrophic event happen. We had a community a couple of years ago where their roof caved in their municipal building. Okay, that sucks. But from a cash flow perspective, they actually, you know, they got a little bit of extra liquidity, but we did have to liquidate investments ahead of maturity so that they could actually cover some unexpected cost. And part of our process is to do so in a manner that is least impactful from a negative standpoint to the community. So wherever possible, we are purchasing investments that provide a fixed rate of return for you, but you are not necessarily stuck with that. And the same thing with CDs. So one of the things that I'm asked a lot right now, fixed income portfolios, when you make these investment decisions, you're making it based upon what you know right now. That could change, right? Rates could go down. They could continue to rise. And a year from now, you're saying, hey, why are we getting only 4.8 or 5% and rates have gone up to 6%? That's me being optimistic, but point being, we can always look to replace them. It's not always advisable, but we'll work with you to show you what that looks like. So the entire goal of these portfolios is to build that cash flow and that predictability. So from a short end, you have your expenses covered. Long end, you know exactly what income you can plan for. From a budgeting perspective, as you are starting to think through next year's levy worksheets and budgets. That is one component where you can actually put that money to work and budget off of it. If you put it into a variable product like a money market or even some of these short-term liquid, they call them CDARs still. Those are great products for cash for short-term, but they don't give you that predictability. So one of the things that we focus heavily on is building a core versus cash portfolio, and that cash management strategy comes into play. Banking and treasury management is a very important to your overall project planning as well as cash flow planning. One of the things that we focus heavily on is making sure that you are covered from a collateral perspective and that we work with your existing banking relationships to get you the best pricing. One of the things that we actually have a couple of team members that used to be in treasury management. So we can work with you for full RFP or basically proposal requests, or we can just do some pricing analysis. And a lot of this is built using our expertise to your advantage. So overall, we like to make sure that from a cash perspective, you're in a good place, but also building that predictability of income. As far as access and ease of transfer or transferability, you are never contractually obligated to us. You can fire me at any time. My boss hates that I say that, but the reality is it's important for you to know I work for you until you tell me to stop. If you have investments and you decide, hey, I would prefer to work with a different professional, there's internal team, there's external, you could look at other providers, but the key here is to make it very easy for you to do business with us, as well as if you need funds, we make it very easy to move back and forth between your local bank as well as our custodial platform. We do hold your investments in the city's name in a custodial provider. That provider does not charge you fees to do so. We have a firm have contracted with them so that you can rest assured I'm not actually taking possession of your money. It's all in the city's name, held in an actual account. And there are safekeeping requirements from a legal perspective that they must abide with. As far as ease of access, someone from your group can have view-only access. Your internal team can have actual transactional authority. It's all done online. We also can provide you with paper statements, electronic statements, and the reporting suite is fully customizable so that we can get you the data you need, especially from a council standpoint, every month so that you have a nice summary view of what's been going on. Now, if we take a peek here at, and actually this is a pretty chart, but it really just summarizes as a whole what Ehlers does. And I think it's always very important for people to see, what the potential fee or income is. And we are very transparent with that. So if you take a peek at page 10, I will point out for you, this is just very, kind of back of the napkin numbers. When I put this together, I said, hey, we've got to work through some cash flow projections before we fully invest anything. But just to give you an idea what that could look like, we're seeing well over $16,000 on a $500,000 investment. And I targeted that $500,000 because of those CDs that are coming due. And again, there's no minimum with this. There's no contractual obligation. Part of this is building that strategy. So you ultimately could put that money to work with a very predictable plan. We charge a fee for our services. It's a monthly fee. It will fluctuate based upon your average monthly balance. You do actually have some breakpoint discounts, but the next breakpoint is $2.5 million. But the more you invest, in theory, the average fee does go down, but it's about 0.25 annually. So if you think about most investments right now are paying about 5%, you're paying 0.25% annually. So we try to be competitive with our fees, but also very transparent. So you can see exactly what that looks like. On $500,000, it's about $1,200 a year. If you invest $1 million, it's $2,500. So again, we try to be very transparent, but also wanted to give you some actual tangible numbers that you can use to make some decisions. And I do summarize on the back page or the last page, the fee and what's included. Part of it is making sure that from an agreement standpoint, you're fully aware of the services we provide, but we really don't charge you any other ancillary fees unless you were to choose to go with any sort of extra services. So I mentioned the banking services, qualifications or proposal review. We can do a baseline pricing proposal. We don't charge you for that. But if you wanted a full-blown RFP sent to multiple banks and somebody to do the work for you, we do charge a fee for that. And that's one of the few things that we charge anything extra for. But there's no transaction fees, there's no broker fees, no trade fees, no wire fees or ACH fees, none of that. Everything's included. Now, from a policy standpoint, I did include a draft here. And this is actually, it's a Word document. So your team internally, as well as a committee or council level, has the opportunity or option to edit this. I've put a few comments in there where there are some titling or roles and responsibilities that may be very specific to your group. But this is just a nice guidepost for you to leverage as you have these discussions.
We've had these every year for the last 20 years, and we haven't had one in, I think, 2.5 years. We should have had one last year. You said a couple things that make a point. One is you can't count guessing wrong as lost, and that's the truth. The CDs have changed dramatically. I changed some of mine early this year. I mean, I was getting almost nothing, but if you're fortunate enough to change. There are also some restrictions. We did have some bonding and money we didn't spend. There are definite state restrictions. You can't invest that money and make money with it if you borrowed it for a specific purpose.
There's a way around everything.
What's that?
There's a way around everything.
There's a way around it. But
There's a legal way actually
Yeah.
to invest those funds, but
but
that's.
what I'm trying to point out is it's not as simple as, geez, because some of the needs weren't ripe yet. Some of the opportunities weren't there, but ordinarily we have Ehlers come in pretty much every 18 months and go through this so that everybody understands what it is. And we didn't last year, so I'm glad you're here this year.
Well, I appreciate that. And please know that part of this is to make sure that you are making decisions that are, I'm here to give you some of that legal guidance, right? And compliance is paramount. But your point about debt issues, right? Even when you get large sums of money for projects or equipment purchases, those dollars can be put to work. There are some IRS requirements, and it's a dirty word called arbitrage. Nobody really wants to hear about it, but part of it is anything that you do as a community there are some very specific statutes that fall behind that. So we keep you in line with all of those. But yes, you're.
We should have asked you what to do with it.
I
this
think somebody
spring.
might have, but
Yeah.
and part of this is timing is everything, right? So there was a lot going on over the last couple of years. I think the key here is you guys kept it safe. You did the right things from that perspective. And now moving forward, you have the opportunity to make a more informed decision and build strategy around your idle cash, your debt planning, as well as future projects.
Plus, we want to make sure we have cash flow because in November, we got to make sure we can pay our bills before the taxes start
Right.
coming in again.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm done asking questions. Anybody else?
And
Thank
then
you
please
for the
know that if you think of a burning question after I walk out of the room, you are welcome to reach out. My information is in the packet, but also, if you're not sure how to ask the question, don't be afraid to let Annie or Angie know. I'm already part of your team. You just haven't met me yet. So,
Thanks for coming in.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you guys very
Have a
much.
good evening.
You too. Thanks.
Good presentation.
All right.
Oh, thank you. I'm a finance girl. I'm not very good at presenting. So I
It was
apologize.
pretty good.
All right. Item 2, we review with possible action, the quotes received for the Ziegler Ballpark lights. John Wild, you want to step up to the podium?
Absolutely. So, I guess I'm not sure how we want to go forward with it. I received 2 sealed bids. We want to open those and see them and see if we want to move forward with the bids. Okay. The original bids that we looked at last year, that I got last year, were in the 73 to 75, 72 to 73,000 range. Well, the same 2 companies gave it in from Rollbrat's Sign and Lighting, and his bid came in at 86,765. So that was an increase. Then the other was Encore Electric. Who's looking? And his bid came in at the original 72,660, 72,660.
Yeah, that makes sense. He wants the business.
Yeah.
And did we budget anything for it?
No, we're just in the process of, Not sure, Angie, if we had talked a few times about it as far as, where the money was gonna
Isn't
come
that
from.
$12,000 or something?
Well, six, I think.
Yeah, we had 12, I'm sorry, yeah, 12.6, that we, 12.6 or 12.1 that we got in for the insurance claim, so with that one bid, that would put the one bid at, you know, 73,000 and one bid at around 60,000.
And the night games are dependent on this happening.
A lot of different activities, yeah, a lot of different activities that happen up there, tournaments, games, activities that have always been a big line there, yep.
And remind me why we don't have a budget for that? I know there's reasons, but I just don't remember.
It was there was a windstorm that blew over one of the light poles, and then just an abundance of caution, the insurance company had us remove all of them. Or fixtures, so they all need to be replaced.
And then the one that fell, they reimbursed us for any insurance claim, that's what that 12,165, I believe is. So,
So I think at the last, one of our prior finance committee meetings, the deliberation was around covering the balance with city's ARPA funds.
That's what I said, yes.
So I would then ask and just confirm with Angie Grundy that we do in fact have ARPA funds available. So I would entertain a motion for funding.
I'll make a motion to use ARPA funds to cover the difference between the credit we have and the lowest bid from Bruce, from
Encore Electric,
For electric.
We'll second that.
and.
Oh, wait, I
I'll add
can't,
to
can
that And to let them know.
I can't.
Sure, they have the meeting, anybody can,
Oh,
anybody but
second.
Mike.
All right. John, I'm sorry, what was the bid amount?
the bid amount, it was 72,660.
660. All right, so 72,660 less the insurance claim.
Yep.
money, roughly, approximately $60,000.
Yep.
Okay. Motion has been made by Bob Smith, seconded by Tim Olson. Is there any further discussion?
Nowhere else we can get the money from.
ARPA funds are here, right?
Well, you know how I
Right.
feel about ARPA funds.
Understood.
But my other question is, I mean, I understand the ARPA funds are there.
Yes.
However, in the future, when ARPA funds aren't there and things like this come about, what do?
We
If it's an emergency, we have ready.
strategically over time. And that is, I believe, the direction that we're all committed to putting the city on.
What do we call it?
Well, we do have a prudent contingency fund, right? Which equates to, I believe, the ratio is 25% of your annual city budget, operating budget. So we do have,
That's the recommended.
that's the recommended,
We don't
right?
have, we.
Well, there's a statutory amount stated.
That's
Now, are
only
there
to
other
maintain your
funds?
bond rate.
If I recall,
They don't know what you're talking about.
thank you, Bob, you're out of order.
I'm not out of order. I'm
Alderman
chairman.
Reese.
You're just
I
an
would-
interloper.
I would, thank you. Alderman Reese, if you recall in the budget approval process earlier this year, they had talked about, there was some landfill funds that were kind of allocated as discretionary for community, the good of the community.
Yep.
You could make that argument.
It's not a bad one either. Anybody got any thoughts on that? What are the landfill funds?
So every year, the city receives a lump sum payment. We allot some into a legal defense fund and some is earmarked for community good, right?
Okay.
For the greater good.
That we get from the land.
We get, yes, it's money that comes in each year.
$41,000 in tip fees we get from the land.
It's 43,000 for us to put up with their litter, their noise, their soot going through our town.
But we used to spend it on a number of things. We could direct it towards this, but it's not enough. And we usually budget it for related items having to do with the landfill.
And so we've got some of that's built up over time. We've got money for a legal fees if we ever need it, and it sounds like there might be some left over.
Potentially.
And we may need that money for legal fees down the road.
But I think we've got a certain dollar amount set up for legal fees that
It's in excess of $500,000 for legal fees accumulated thus far.
do we need to accumulate more?
So
Potentially.
we don't have to take the funds all out of one place, do we?
Not necessarily, but I think it's important, to note that, you know, this term that people have been using of this rainy day fund or contingency fund, those funds are gone. Like, that doesn't exist. So we do not have capital budget funds sitting there ready to go for any project at this time. So really the most obvious source of fund availability right now is that ARPA fund.
How many dollars in the ARPA fund?
Roughly
Maybe roughly around 60.
Roughly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
remaining in the ARPA
Oh,
fund.
it was a little.
500, yeah. that's right.
550,000.
We're.
I was making note, I'm not opposed to funding the landing at all, I'm just opposed to the ARPA funds. We'll go back to the meeting minutes and explain all that, I'm not gonna do it today.
This is a committee meeting of the whole. It can go to the council can deliberate on the funding source, and in the meantime, over the next couple of weeks, we can do some homework in City Hall and see if we can identify the options for the council.
I would like to say something.
Yes, please. Over and out.
Okay, now, on this Bridge Street project, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did that not come in a little bit under budget? Wasn't there?
Although, but let me defer.
No, I believe after both years it was over.
I believe it's over budget.
So when they finished up asking for their final payment, it indicated it came in less than they had anticipated.
I'm guessing that's gonna be just for the second half.
Correct.
Not-
But not for the whole, correct, whole project, okay, that makes sense.
Probably what made it.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, I didn't question, I didn't hear what you said about that contingency fund about approximately. Is there anything
In
in our contingency fund?
you have a line item for contingency that you budget each year. I think what the mayor was talking to is a lot of times you guys talk about a rainy day fund, which is typically your fund balance that you built up over what Bob was referring to. You kind of set a minimum and you had built it up somewhat over that. But the last couple of years, you've since spent what's been built up over that threshold. So you have funds available, but they're kind of more at about your safety threshold. So, but you still do, what I've seen in the budget is I believe you budget. Let's see, but I was thinking it was around 50,000 on a contingency line item in your general for emergency purposes.
Thank you. Well, there is one more thing. We kind of on a time constraint here to get this done.
Meaning,
In other words, if we go before council with this, it's just gonna eat up more time.
if you're talking as far as like themes that you had mentioned, like and all that, because it sounded positive going forward. Everybody on the teams that have been here for a long time are committed to staying here, they said.
Okay.
So we did not lose anything as far as, anything at this point.
When do you need the lights up by?
Yesterday.
That's where I'm
No, I
going
mean,
with this.
Everything this year is gonna go exactly like last year as far as,
I guess what I'm asking, when's the first night game that we need lights?
well, there's no way we could even come close to saying we're gonna be able to put them up this year to have the lights. So last year we went through one full year. It happened May of last year. So they went through last year with no lights up there. So they played limited games up until dark. That was it. And then we had no fall league at all. So what I'm getting at is that they all committed to playing the exact same schedules they did last year. Because even with saying right now, if you got to check right now, there's no guarantees you're gonna be able to get the polls in that time in this day and age, way things are, this world is right now.
Did they say what their lead time is, once we award the project? Or did they say on their quote what their lead time is for in a month?
No, when we got the original one in, they said it was about 6 weeks, but give or take a little. So the minute we give them down payment on that, they're gonna put an order in with their company that they deal with poles and that. But like I said, it's just a different world than it was, 5 years ago. If we're put this way, it gets going and things get up in there, there's a chance that we could, get our fall quietly going again.
Yeah, so.
So obviously sooner than later,
If we
but.
get it going, we could.
But everybody would be very happy and excited to hear that lights are gonna go back up there.
What I'm seeing in the manufacturing realm, we're not having quite the constraint to worry.
No, that's what everybody's saying, but it's
But
still not as
I'm still-
guaranteed as it was a few years ago. Yeah, absolutely.
I totally get that.
But if we don't do whatever we can and get Mookie to order the pole, the leagues may look for another place to be.
That's what they were telling us. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's, so yes, you
Yeah.
have to show.
But we need to get her going. So it's really just a question of where we get the funds from, really. ARPA or someplace else.
Is this something that needs to be approved tonight? I guess was the bottom line.
It has to be either approved or recommended. This committee of the whole can spend the money, or we can forward it to the council.
If we recommend approving it and forward to the council, can we change where we pull the funds from at that time?
Sure.
You could recommend it without even suggesting where the funds come from and then just leave it up to the next few weeks to figure that out. And everybody can come up with a recommendation for that meeting.
Unless there's more discussion, I'm gonna make a recommendation to move it to council.
So the amendment to Bob Smith's motion. Would you accept an amendment to your motion?
Sure, we can't, just so everybody knows, we, as the council community as a whole, we can approve the spending of the ARPA money here, and we don't have to go to council, then he can tell Mookie to order the polls. You sure you wanna wait another 2 weeks?
What do you think, Bob?
I think we ought to let them know that we're gonna order, I don't think we have much choice, we're gonna order the light bulbs, it's just a matter of where we're gonna get the 60,000 from.
Yeah.
If we change where we get it, we can alter that, but I think we approve it tonight and get it rolling.
Those were the only two bids, right?
Yes, that was the only 2 bids that were anywhere in this ballpark. We got a couple other bids, but they were, double this or minimum of a third more, but then.
And we went through like the actual bid process, I think we're supposed to. I'm just curious because it's a pretty big project, so I want to make sure that we did it right.
Good question.
Like I said, he came back, Wookiees are community sensitive, and he kept his bid the same.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
kept that
I
bid
don't
looking
think
at
he's
it.
gonna make out on it.
No.
His portion of it is only a few $1,000s for the labor. The rest is all the lights and poles. It's itemized on the bid.
So I think, with all due respect, Roger, I think we just go ahead with this and get it over with, and then if we change our funding source, we can do that later, but I'm comfortable with that. So then there's no amendment.
Take the vote as the motion stands.
You can just read back the motion, so everybody knows what it is.
Sure, so the motion was to use ARPA funds to cover the balance of the bid from. I'm gonna have to.
Encore Electric.
On electric,
Yeah,
thank
Encore
you.
Electric, yep.
Minus it's 12,600 from the insurance as estimated.
Yeah, it's either 12-1 or 12-6. It's one of those 2 it is. But we have that, obviously we have that, just not, I don't have that in front of me right now.
So we're looking at the calculator. Right, growth of 60,000 approximately, we would cover.
60,000, will change, yep.
So I guess we have to do a roll.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
No.
Alderperson Tim Olson,
Aye.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Aye.
Alderperson Roger Smith.
Aye.
All right,
Motion carries for the three two.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
4-1, motion carries 4-1. Next item 3. Discuss with possible action options for leasing and or purchasing equipment for DPW. There is no data or information provided tonight, so we can table indefinitely.
I'll make a motion to table.
Motion by Alderman Reese,
What's a reasonable amount of a time for them to be able to find that, get that level of information?
regarding leasing.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that, from an equipment finance standpoint, purchase that we had made a couple of years ago, there's a bank out of Kansas, we have done a capital purchase borrowing on a loan. They also offer equipment leases to municipalities. I don't know, your director of DPW is gonna do some homework and identify specifically what equipment needs to be purchased. And then I would suggest that should come to council. And once you approve or agree that capital purchase needs to be done, then we'll do the homework on identifying funding sources, and certainly leasing is an option to consider.
I guess the question I have is when to expect the report? DPW department on what they need. Anyway.
Yeah.
We keep moving.
Yep. So, there's been no action on that. Item 4. Review with possible action, Main Street Mayville's request for payment. You all have the information in your packet. It's the second installment.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
When is that going to happen?
Since council approves it.
That we already did.
We have paid one installment, there's still a second installment to be paid. It's in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the second installment to Main Street Mayville.
Okay, you know, this specific amount was it 5,000?
Yes.
5,000, okay, is that good? Also, second by Bob Smith. Any further discussion or any discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Aye.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Aye.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Aye.
Alderperson Roger Smith.
Aye. All right,
Dawn,
so
is that okay? Everything okay then?
Kim, you're out of order. Let's continue forward. Review with possible action, the server upgrade. Andy, do you have a report on what server we received and what happened?
I thought you were running this.
Kim, you're out of order.
You're out of order. He's the chair.
Not, I said.
I'm the presiding officer on meetings of the whole. Let's continue forward. Please, Angie, continue.
Wise Guy has not gotten me the quote. What he gave me verbally is to get the server that we need for minimum specs for the upgrade. Is an additional $900 than what he had quoted last fall. Like I said, that was a little bit before me, so at some point there must have been a decision that they felt a workstation with added memory would work. So they kind of went the less expensive route. So as soon as he gets that, I will bring it to you, but whatever you had anticipated paying, because I don't believe we can pay for that yet either.
Do we know what the original amount was?
I don't believe I've seen anything. I have not seen anything. This one was kind of surprise provision, and that was all in place.
Yeah, I mean, this is during the whole transition period, so I don't know if there's really good records on it. What I do know is that we did deliver the specifications on what's required for the server upgrade. I think whether they were directed to do so or not, the option that they took was to take a shortcut that would create a deficiency in the performance of the server. So they're taking a workstation, partitioning the hard drive. It's a shortcut, and we can confirm with interaction from Civic that the software will not perform optimally, or it may not perform right at all, not even optimally, unless it's running on a dedicated server, not a workstation. So that's the
Well, we
latest.
don't want to put you on the spot, it's not my intention. They tend to just sound familiar to you.
Absolutely. If you were, I don't know if you were here, it might have been your first meeting. The minutes will show that when Bob was here from Wise Guy, I said, is this a workstation or a full-fledged server? And he indicated it's in the minutes that this was not a workstation. This would be a server with enough capacity to run multiple workstations.
Okay.
So he misunderstood, or somebody changed the order, but it's in the minutes that we ordered a server.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know if there's any action that needs to be taken right now, but
No, it hasn't, it's hard to get paperwork and contracts out of people right now. So as soon as I get the paperwork, but verbally, we're expecting about $900 increase.
and I would leave that up to the council. I mean, that's your decision as to whether you're gonna find an increase of that magnitude acceptable.
Well, it's never acceptable, but I don't see if we have a choice. So I'm gonna say we need to do it.
All right, so is that a motion?
So was there an original contract?
I haven't seen any paperwork. I can do more digging.
So
Well, we need to
a
find,
document to the tune of about, what was it, like $1,300?
But
Does that ring a bell to anybody else?
13 to 16, and I said,
Yeah.
that sounds like a workstation. He said, no, it's full-fledged server. So I don't know what happened, Black community, but we didn't,
Yeah.
we didn't pay for a server, that's why I questioned it. We paid for a workstation, which we already had. We could have upgraded that as well.
well, before we can okay that, we need to see if we can dig up something that,
No, that's the price now. We need a server. We have to spend the money.
So, well, the server's here. So we had him replace it because even with at $900, if we had to absorb that within our departmental budgets, we can. And considering the way the accounting software is working, we didn't have an option, so.
He never did deliver the original workstation, right? Or he did.
It was physically here, yeah, because they actually had logged in to do the upgrade and then that's when they explained.
So if there's
that.
any action, I would suggest, Roger, that it would be to go back to Wise Guys and see if there's anything they can do. They made a current mistake, but unfortunately, we have to have a server cost this.
Well, I think your assessment probably right is whatever he said. $1,200-1,300 doesn't buy a server.
Yeah. Right. So, what did we make a motion? Somebody.
We're waiting for a motion. If you'd like to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the server upgrade with the caveat that we need to close the gap on the documentation. I.e. get the official contract bid updated or whatever it is we need to do.
You can go to Bob and ask him for what we originally had said. Yep. Okay, so pending, just validation of the.
Yeah. Okay. Pending validation of the contract.
Okay. So do you all want to cite the specific number, or do you want to just, state a range?
Not to exceed $900, because it is, well, I don't
It is
know.
900.
I don't know that I want to do that.
The other option, if you don't mind me running it
Yeah,
past you,
please.
is to send this as a recommendation to council, right? So
Sure.
this is time where, like, it's time sensitive, but maybe not so much. Recommended to council. In the meantime, we have the numbers put together. So in 2 weeks, when we meet again, we'll have actual hard numbers, and then we can all vote on it.
I like that.
Are we using the server now?
We
Delivered.
will Thursday.
We
Yes.
will Thursday, so this is the bill for the server we're talking about.
Correct.
Yes,
Essentially, that's what this is, whether we approve paying of the bill or we want to try and negotiate it down or whatever. I think, I think we have to accept the server. Correct. And plug it in and program it.
Correct.
So let me amend my recommendation to Board of Common Council.
All right, so Roger Smith has made a motion. Alderman Reese has asked if he would be amenable to amending said motion to send it to common council for approval.
With recommendation.
With recommendation to approve. Okay. You good?
Joe.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Alderman Reese has seconded. Is there any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Since we're recommending, I think we can just take a,
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. All right.
Opposed? Motion to Board of Council carries. All right, item 7, discuss with possible action the frequency of the city attorney's presence.
yes,
Thank you.
number 6.
Number 6, it's related. Review with possible action the civic systems upgrade. Thank you.
and this one, I was hoping I would have gotten a contract with the definite numbers, but until they get that to me. You know, we know what direction we want to go, but we're kind of just at their mercy to.
And I'll make a motion to table that, so.
Motion by Alderman Bob Smith, the table.
I'll second that.
Second by Alderman Abbott. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion is tabled. Now, item 7, discuss with possible action the frequency of city attorney's presence at city meetings. I spoke with Nolan Franti, who acts in the capacity of city attorney, and he will move forward accordingly, whatever the council wants. We want him here on common council meetings or not. Of no concern to him, just let him know. That was his request. So does anybody?
Why is this on the agenda?
Alderperson Olson's.
We are spending money for having an attorney present. And I really don't see why we need to pay an attorney to be here.
What does it cost us per meeting?
Hardware book.
Closer to 4, it's $135 an hour or every part of an hour, and it's generally been about $400.
And this was the mayor's idea to begin with. And it went through. But I don't see the purpose for spending that money.
We used to let the attorney's office know when there was something that might be sensitive enough to have them present when there were some, you know, when you're dealing with law enforcement issues or other issues or.
Well, it sure seems like we've had questions come up on a pretty regular basis where it's really convenient to have him here to answer the question on the spot.
But did he have the answer? I noticed that we have 2 different opinions here. I didn't feel it was useful.
Was it not useful because he didn't give you the answer you wanted, or was it not useful because he didn't have the answer?
I think you need to retract what you just said to me, sir.
Sometimes he deferred himself just to come back and get back to us.
Sure,
So
he
if it
will.
wasn't the presence, we could have him that over the phone. Some stuff is more sensitive than others. And sometimes, you know, we do have free legal help if we choose to get it from the League of Municipalities. If we have something we want to check, we can call Claire. And we did, when we brought this up, when the mayor brought it up to have it, I think I even thought it was a good idea at the time. That, because we were going through some stuff at the beginning of the year. And we said, until further notice, rather than have the policy where we would ask for the attorney's presence if we thought we needed, we would for a while have the attorney's presence until we determined that we should go back to the original policy of requesting, and thought something would come up on the agenda. Don't you remember, we had lawsuits, we had.
Well put, Bob. I don't have a dog in this fight. I mean, let you, and neither does Nolan Francis. So
We're
somebody
talking
would like
about a
to,
budget right now.
if you'd like to make, if you would like to make a motion, let's make a motion.
If it's of any assistance to your discussion, I do send the agendas to Nolan ahead of time. So I don't know if you want to leave any leverage for him to review the agenda and make the decision, if, you know.
That could be, and he'll charge us an hour for that.
Just to let you know, I do, he does see the agendas, at least right now, since he's been attending.
But we need to
meetings.
utilize what we have that's needed is clear.
Sure, the one thing I will say about the league is it's not always a quick response because they have so many people requesting their services. I've reached out to them for things. So it can take some time. They are certainly there and can be utilized, but it may not be as immediate as with Nolan.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of saving city dollars if we think we can,
Use it more efficiently.
yeah, use it more efficiently or use it on an as-call basis.
How about as a matter of policy, if anyone on the council going into a meeting or prior to, give us a week. But if you have an issue that's on the agenda that you would like to have reviewed in advance, let City Hall know, let me know. I'll reach out to Nolan and advise. That I think would be middle ground, and I think would make a lot of sense.
That makes sense to
Me
you?
too.
That was the former policy, that seemed to work.
All right, so.
Don't forget, excuse me, but Madden was just hired as our municipal attorney, and he didn't have a full office staff at the time, and this is relatively new that he's been able to furnish somebody at these meetings besides, so.
Sure.
So,
All right, so. We have to change policy, and then therefore there would be it would require a motion to change the policy. So if somebody would like to state a motion, we can move forward.
I'll make a motion to change that policy, that we only have the city attorney upon request.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Abbott. Any further discussion?
I do have a question. When did it turn into a meeting of the whole? Because mine doesn't show it here. So when did this happen? When did this switch happen from
It was originally how I sent out the agenda.
the
Kim,
first
this
one?
was something you
finance
could have
agenda,
brought
yeah.
up at the beginning of the meeting. Let's move forward.
I have a question. I want to
Well, you should have asked at the beginning.
I don't know why
Let's
you're
continue
running
to move
this.
forward.
You're usually not even here. Why are you even running
Kim,
this?
let's move forward.
I think.
I will say, it's
Thank you.
traditional to have a meeting of the whole when we hear presentation from Ehlers, because everybody has to hear how the people handle our investments.
Thank you. That was a
Thank
good
you, Bobby.
explanation.
Great explanation. Now, we have a motion that has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion at hand?
I just want to point out, whatever we do now, we can always change it again later if we.
You are correct.
So.
Yes, agreed.
Good point.
Great point. All right, since indirectly your finance is involved, let's go ahead and take a roll.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Aye.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
All right,
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Aye.
Alderperson Bob Smith, Alderperson Roger Smith.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. I'll let Nolan Franti know. Item 8, discuss with possible action the 2022 Bridge Street reconstruction payment request number 2. It's the final payment.
So the final payment was submitted by Town and Country Underground, who both have reviewed. And you can see their changes to the right, so the final payment to go out is $38,811.14.
And Nick approved this, He signed off on,
Done,
did.
or done?
done, yes.
There's no punch list or anything like that?
That's what they reviewed, so if you look in your,
There were
if you
some
look in the
done.
packet,
Okay,
Yeah.
you can see kind of what's submitted and then the handwritten changes.
yeah, that's what I asked him for, take care of the punch list.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
It's in the packet.
So when this says final construction cost came in 9,000 below the awarded contract amount.
that was for this contract, but if you talk about the Bridge Street project and all the expenses as a whole, it didn't come in under.
You talking about both Bridge Street, the Bridge Street project had two phases.
Phase two
Yeah.
did not come in, or phase two came in at
Lower.
9,000 lower.
Okay,
Correct.
That's what I,
That is correct. Just phase two. Water does.
Yeah.
main.
so this is the final payment for that.
Correct.
So there's that, money left over, is
Kind of, sort of, not really.
Kind of, yeah. this-
kind of sort of, not
this-
really.
There is, look, we bonded, we took out a bond to pay for that project. Paying the $38,000 that's remaining is gonna come out of
Your fund balance.
your general fund.
and the beneficiaries, Jack, if I can speak, would be the people who are gonna pay special assessments on phase two of Bridge Street project. There won't be quite as much, and we can't back it up to pay the special assessments on phase one, where you have to. How's that? So I know what you're asking, but no, I get a break, you don't.
All right,
Like,
so,
I was looking for money for the pole. Right.
so would anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve amendment, phase two of the street reconstruction.
All right, motion by Alderman Reese,
I'll second it.
second by Roger Smith. Any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Aye.
Alderperson Roger Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Aye.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Aye.
and Alderperson Jack Abbott.
All right,
Thank you.
So,
yeah. Yeah, you did.
would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Bob Smith. Second by, anybody like to adjourn this meeting?
I'll second.
Second by Joe Reese. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. Meeting closed 7:13, so. Welcome to the City of Mayville Personnel Committee of the Whole meeting. Monday, April 24th, 7:14 PM. Please take the roll.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Here.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Here.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Here,
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Here.
Alderperson Roger Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Quorum is present. Item 2, approval of minutes from the March 27th, 2023 Personnel Committee meeting.
I will move to approve minutes from the March 27th meeting.
Motion by Jack Abbott, Alderman Abbott,
I'll second it.
second by Alderman Roger Smith, excuse me. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Are there any citizen comments tonight? All right. Item 4, closed session. We're going to convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a public employee. A motion to move into closed session.
Isn't this illegal again? Nobody.
What is your basis for deeming it illegal?
Nobody asked me to put this on the agenda.
You don't have to be asked to put it on the agenda.
Is that why it was of the whole?
I'm sorry?
Is this why it's because of the whole,
Um,
other than what you said?
you can't deny if an employee requests the need, yeah.
This was a request made on the part of Angie Rundy to go into closed session.
We have to vote to go.
Somebody would have to make a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion by Roger Smith. Somebody would have to second said motion.
I'm like, we're in agreement.
Interesting.
I can say it, no, what I need to say in open if you really want me to.
I'd rather everybody be transparent, that's my opinion.
Let's stay in open session. Bear with me. Go ahead. Angie, the floor is yours.
And open.
Are the cameras still on?
Oh, they're on.
Yeah.
That's not through the dark.
Oh, it's dark. Oh, my God.
Are you napping in there?
It could be.
All right, we have remained in open session. The topic is discuss with possible action the performance evaluation of the comptroller treasurer position. This item was put on by city employee Angie Grundy, who is our comptroller treasurer, and Angie, I will give you the floor.
Okay, I requested a closed session, which they refused, so I will say it in open. But I am giving you my resignation. I was going to discuss with you the more personal reasons and some of the interactions I've had with you individually. And you've asked that to be transparent. So I'll ask you again, if you
With
really
who exactly individual?
Don't interrupt.
I didn't hear her.
Don't interrupt.
The owl
With-
does
with
not
each-
work.
with each of you. I would prefer to do it in closed session, as is my right. But if you would like to discuss it with open, at this time, I'll just say, I am gonna give you my resignation. And, you know, I'll discuss with the mayor and who I choose to discuss with that. Did you have any questions?
Me, you. Just asking any questions.
I can hear, can you?
Because
Is there anything we can do to make you change your mind?
I would have preferred to discuss that more openly, privately, but since this was the route they chose to go, this is the route we'll go. As I was gonna say, I can leave immediately if that's what the three of you wish. Or if you would like, you know, I could continue to try to work on. This is a very sensitive time with reporting and you're upgrading your computer issues. And right now, what I'm trying to do, you do not have anybody else capable of doing.
Would you be willing to stay for 2 weeks or a month or some time until you, whatever?
I can discuss that with the mayor afterwards.
So that would be appropriate since he,
A lot of things would be appropriate.
Well, since we're in open session, it would obviously not in a position where you can talk about what the issues are. There's clearly some issues that I am completely unaware of here, so I'll just let it rest at that.
I can ask you again if you would like to grant me my right to a closed session.
If I may just interject, you know, as the chief executive officer for the city, you will be putting the city at great risk if you reject her request for a closed session to speak openly about her employment and performance review. But please choose carefully. It's on you.
Be a good time to have the attorney here.
Well, I'm not comfortable not going to a closed session to allow her the opportunity to address the issue. And I guess I fail to understand why nobody else is willing to do that.
I can give you my reason. Angie, you could have called me at any time. But apparently you felt I was inferior or insignificant.
Let's keep on topic. Let's keep the
Would you
topic.
let
Do
me
you wish to
talk?
go into closed
Let
session or
me
not?
talk. Quit
I want to
interjecting.
have a
She
productive
could have called
meeting.
me.
That's not how
One-on-one.
city government works.
You could have done
That
that.
isn't how
Do you
city
know
government
things work?
works. I do.
Do you?
Would you please
You-
either, let's
No, I'm
proceed.
talking to her.
She will talk with you in closed session. I think she's made her terms very clear.
Okay, I don't believe in closed session. Too much of it.
So, city is put at significant risk.
You
I'm
have
not
put us
doing
at
so.
significant risk.
Can I speak here for a little bit?
Of course,
It's pretty clear that there are some differences of opinion between some of you and Mayor John when there are apparently some concerns with the performance issue that I'm completely oblivious to that need to come to light. And I fail to understand the unwillingness to work together to resolve what's going on here, rather than letting a very, very qualified individual walk out the door right in the midst of when we really need a very qualified individual. I do not understand the reluctance to grant her the request for a closed session so we can address the issue and resolve it, rather than putting us in a high-risk position of not having a comptroller treasurer. We don't have somebody else in our hip pocket that we can pull out and say, let's drop this person in and they'll hit the ground running. I'm a firm believer in airing our differences, finding resolution and moving forward, and we're clearly not doing that.
are you looking at me?
I'm talking to you, to Bob, to Joe, to anybody.
My reasons might be totally different than anybody else's, you know, it's. We tried to go into closed session once before, and I voted against it because. If you were a fan of when you go to that class.
That's off topic, Bob.
It is, why we're not going into closed session. I'm explaining why I.
I'll make it on topic for you, because in order to discuss whether or not we're going to go into closed session, there has to be a second to a motion.
Right, for discussion.
You are correct.
So I will second Roger's motion to go into closed
For
session.
discussion.
Now you can discuss.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Reese.
And my reason for opposing it, just, you know, and you may find this out, I've been to half a dozen classes. The state law requires specific reasons for closed session. That means who and what. That's all it means, who and what.
Okay.
There are only 12 excuses for a closed session. 12. One of them being performance review. And that's, her review is due in, I don't know, July, I guess, July 16th. Anytime, and I wouldn't care if we went into closed session or not, because if you vote yes to go into closed session and you are a member of the committee, you are subject to fine if it's a not illegal closed session. And that happens, they pass those plans out like popcorn. DAs do it, and they have to investigate it, there's no choice. This is the honest to God truth. I have to know this because I've been responsible for people getting fines. There've been a whole bunch of in Horicon, there've been a few in Mayville. So to protect yourself against being fined, the chairman can be fined $100 up to $300, they're usually about 100, 150. Members of the committee who vote for a closed session improperly can be fined up to $100. Generally, they're $50. This happens routinely. So to protect yourself,
you may attend a closed session if you vote against it, but you're safe if you vote against going into it. Okay, so that's my reason, because I asked specifically what the specifics were for the closed session. And it's one of 12, I can read them to you if you want, but the 12 excuses are specific. They came back with the one that is for performance review. That means if you got an employee that you think you're gonna talk about, and you don't wanna besmirch your reputation, you do it in closed session, okay? Same thing goes if there's something, those are the reasons for going into closed session, okay? But itself, I'm reluctant to go along with this because I never heard of, and we don't have Nolan asked, I never heard of a self-imposed review, performance review by an employee, usually asking for somebody else's review. And in this case, one more, just real quick. In this case, it makes it look like, the way the agenda reads, makes it look like the chairman is asking for the review. When
That's not the case at all.
that's not the case at all.
Is there another way we can skin this cat then?
Yeah, they find another way to, another reason to go into closed session. The state law, this is Wisconsin invented the open meetings law. I mean, they're famous for it. They want everything in public as much as possible. I think this may be an chance for our new hire comptroller treasurer to review our performance, not hers. That's my opinion. But I don't know that because we're not in full session to talk about it. Okay,
May I ask a question?
sure.
The question is, and everything you say, I respect your opinion on all of it. The employees of the city of Mayville sign an acknowledgement of the employee handbook. Right? We, as a matter of practice, have always, as a matter of practice, when discussing performance issues related to an employee, we've always, as a matter of policy, had it in closed session. Our city employees our city employees are not allowed to involve themselves in debate on social media, and they're not allowed to defend themselves when they're being attacked on social media for performance issues by members of this common council. I don't say that's illegal. I think it puts the city at an inordinate amount of risk. I would say litigation is certainly an option. We have to do that, but let's do what's fair and right for our employees. That's
Sort of a self-imposed review.
Well, you never had this talented of an employee working in our finance role in the past. We will be at a significant disadvantage of ever moving forward to becoming strategic in our finances. And we continue to involve ourselves in very sophisticated financial dealings. You're doing tips. You're making loans. You're making loans here. You're making loans to individuals. You're making loans to businesses in town. We have no tracking mechanisms. I sell software loan tracking mechanisms. They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for banks to comply with regulatory requirements in making loans. And we don't interrupt me. And we have to do what's prudent for the city. We have to put our differences aside. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you. We don't have to spend time together. We don't. And we have to work together. We have to work together.
If you leave, Angie, stay, please.
That's
I
great.
just want him to leave.
That's wonderful. So
There's so much chaos in this city.
Can I speak again?
please.
Don't you always, Roger? Please.
I'm asking for a willingness to work together, Kim.
I have been too from day one.
Yeah. So we have a dilemma here. Angie is tendering her resignation. It's not in our best interest to let her go. I don't know how to resolve this.
I do.
In a fair, equitable manner.
I would vote to go into closed session if I can be assured that it's specific, if the reasons are legitimate and specific. This is one time the city attorney, get him on the phone, but I am not sure that it is allowed. Period. And I said that to the clerk at the time, let me have a specific here. And this is the one that came back with, yes, if we were gonna talk about the performance of a deputy clerk or another employee, then that would fit the law.
It's
right now.
I'm not sure I see the difference. Okay, but I want to help me out here. I'm not sure I see the difference. Because it very clearly states it's for performance evaluation. So does it matter if it's not time for her review? And
She's asking for her own evaluation.
so it's specific.
If the mayor would have put this on the agenda with him asking for it, or Kim would have put it on the agenda asking for an evaluation of even if it's premature, of the comptroller treasurer, that would fit the law. But she put it on herself. She didn't request the mayor do it,
So
she didn't request Kim do it, she put it on the agenda herself.
but it still fits the criteria of the law.
No, this is the way around the law, this is, she wants to be able to review us the way it's. I wish the mayor would have put on there that he wanted to review the performance of the comptroller treasurer because she feels whatever.
So what do we do? What do we do now? What do we
We
do
can
now?
redo this, I suppose, have a special meeting after May 1st, then everybody can be here, including Mike. Another case where everybody shoots before they aim.
I don't agree with you, Bob. I disagree with you completely. You
The
are
rest of you are
certainly,
willing to
you are
take a
certainly
vote.
very knowledgeable.
No, I will.
But I
not
think
vote
there
in
is a
closed
valid
session.
reason to go into closed session.
I don't have a problem with you, Angie, none.
That is irrelevant.
I don't care what you think.
I am well aware.
I don't care.
What do you think?
I'm gonna err on the side that probably call Aaron on. What options do you have? If you go into this closed session and you're wrong, you're wrong. Doesn't matter which way you're wrong. If you stay out of it and you're wrong, doesn't matter which way you're wrong, you're wrong. If we go into closed session, it may not change the outcome. I don't know what the proposed output, I don't know what the outcome expected here is from either side.
We have to have 3 votes going to closed session to go into closed session. Mayor can't vote. So we have 1 vote to go into closed session. I've said I'm going to stick by my decision because I'm not sure I can't be held responsible for an illegal closed session. Nobody has told me otherwise. Nobody has demonstrated that. If you guys want to take a chance, you may. There's 3 more of you.
If I may, you've expressed great concern for valid reasons in going into closed session. And further, you've expressed having valid reason of the DA is going to reach out to the chairman and find them. And you've made it very clear that you were against going into closed session when we went into that special audit conversation, which, oh, by the way, you voted unanimously to pass as a follow-up, right? But since then, let me ask you this. Were you contacted by the district attorney saying, Bob Smith, you're the chairman of that committee and you were wrong in going into closed session and therefore you're subject to fine?
To be honest with you, yes, I have contacted.
That's not what I asked. I said, did they reach out to you? That's different, Bob. They did not.
Well,
Did they?
in your oath of office, it says you are supposed to adhere to the laws.
Yep, and I did.
And the law
And
says,
not only, the law says I can't divulge what is done in closed session, right? But we can talk about that in closed session. I'm telling you, Bob, I
told
checked
you,
with
all
the
you had to
attorney
do
in
was put it on the
advance of
agenda
closed
that you wanted
session.
to review
I talked with
performance of
the
Angie,
attorney
and
in
it would be fine.
advance of going into closed session. I was given that specific rule as the basis for going into closed session. They went to law school. They know the law. We rely on their opinion wholeheartedly on matters
Just
such
saying
as
that,
those.
I haven't had somebody who went to law school too, who said.
But you didn't.
No. I didn't.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at. We rely on the experts. You're very
I'm not
knowledgeable,
gonna change
but I'm
my
not
vote.
gonna take your, I'm
Get
not
back to
asking you
change
to
your
change your vote.
Okay.
What I'm hoping the council will do is open up your minds a little bit to the idea that something productive could come from a
She's
conversation
already resigned.
with our
Now she just wants to tell us why she resigned.
our comptroller treasurer. Do you want to have the opportunity to keep her or not?
She already resigned.
It's up to the council. If that makes you feel better as your reason for copying out, that's fine.
And you.
Let's go for the vote.
Talk to me one-on-one, always.
Jack, you're the only one that hasn't talked. What's your thought?
Well, I saw no reason because there's an evaluation. It's only been, what, 3 months? I mean, it's not even due yet. So I don't even understand why that is there. Why would we be discussing that?
That was my thought going into it. I went back and I looked at the minutes. And we have a performance review coming circa July, if I'm estimating the time right. Sure. Well, that was my thought and my sentiment. So I guess you're more privy to what's going on than we are.
Sure, for sure. What I would say is this, look, the council is inconsistent in the way that it rolls out policy. And I'll give you an example. The director of our tag center, Michaela Leering, has not had a performance review, although the personnel chair really should see to it that our new hires do get reviews on the 6-month or annual basis, whatever's called for. She hasn't gotten a review. And I'm telling you that you are being inconsistent in the way that you're applying policy. And I do believe yet again, in some respects, and I think that the record would show if you were to just simply go out onto social media, of which I'm not a party, but people contact me constantly, let me know, you wouldn't believe this, you wouldn't believe that. You are calling out the performance of a city employee on Facebook. That's not fair. It's not just, it's not right. And further, you sat in this meeting, Alderman Bob Smith. Bob Smith, you sat in this meeting appointed. You don't know what you're doing. You said this. And you don't know what you're doing. You pointed your finger at me. You pointed your finger at her. You didn't say.
Why did you fire? Why did you fire?
Absolutely great.
Why'd you fire Lisa?
Let's move.
Do your job. That's what I'd like to
We can't
know.
discuss that in open session either, Kim.
Really? She'd love to tell you
You
all.
negotiated the contract with Angie. It specifically said 2 weeks vacation or 3 weeks vacation, 6-month review. Nothing like that happened with Michaela. This is a specific
No, it
thing.
isn't, Michaela. It's in the employee handbook, which is
That's
in your
different.
deal. And also, I just want to say, Andy, you are the greatest hire this city has made in ages to run the finances. I appreciate your service, and I'm sorry that I can't get the common council to be reasonable. I'm really sorry.
Mayor, it's you we don't trust.
So,
Angie, you're a whole different thing. This man,
Thank you.
we can't trust him. And I'm
You're right.
sorry.
you're right. Sorry, Maybell.
Yeah, we are sorry.
Yep. It's really a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
To be able to put principles of doing what's right for Mayville above personalities.
Practice
That's
what you
called
preach.
maturity. I
Practice
do.
what you preach.
Oh, let's stop.
Thank you. Let's not do this anymore.
We did have first and second, so we do need to take the vote.
All right, let's take the vote. Take the roll, please.
Alderperson Joseph Reese.
What are we voting on here?
We had the first and the second to go into closed session.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I should really start with Alderperson Roger Smith since he made the motion. I apologize.
Aye.
Alderperson Joseph Reese.
I'm gonna say aye.
Alderperson Kim Olson. Alderperson Bob Smith.
No,
Alderperson Jack Abbott.
Nay.
All right. I'm sorry, Angie. All right. In an open session. Other items for discussion, possible action could include discuss with possible action, the addition of a deputy clerk position. Would anybody care to make a motion? All right, item 2, just
Hold on, because we didn't have to make a motion. We're just in discussion. So if you want to discuss it, we can do that.
okay, would anybody like to, and perhaps I think the deputy clerk would fall under the secretary clerk. So Annie, would you like to discuss the addition of a deputy clerk position?
Certainly, we had talked about it prior months. We had asked, or you had asked that it be tabled to this month's meeting. After we had gotten Jackie in place, she's been a great addition. She's learned quickly. However, some of the areas that still need to be covered, we're still finding are out there. You know, the city is growing. The things that want to get done require more hands on deck. You know, the easy places we had pointed out were HR and payroll, would take a lot of time off the city hall staff, and would benefit other departments. It, you know, would also free up some time that we might be able to take back some of that EMS accounting, help them out there. So really the same issues we had discussed before. The salary people over at City Hall, myself, Angie, and Nicole from Utilities have been putting in extra hours just to try to keep everything moving. But you know, that's not always necessarily a long-term solution. We're upwards of 50 to 60 hours a week. So we're trying to, you know, figure out a way to get things to fall into place that no one's falling through the cracks and everything's getting handled.
So can I ask a question? So two items that stuck out at me is payroll and HR. So I get it. If we're bringing payroll back in-house, I can start to see how that could be a need if we're not paying outside source to do it, how that could be something we might need in-house. The HR part of it, I totally understand the need for it. Does that mean we need to look for somebody that has some HR experience if we wanted to cover that? Or is it just,
I mean, people do go to school for it. Right now, we've just kind of been,
I mean, nobody has it now.
Roger, payroll is in-house.
So we were gonna send it out.
We're gonna send it out. We brought it back in-house.
And the job description of the comptroller treasurer includes
Include the payroll.
personnel manager for now. So that is HR. But it has been inadequate.
It appears that, yeah, well said, well said. All right, thank you.
Actually, if I may interject, the job description is for me to supervise payroll. So when we're sending it out, I've just been doing payroll in addition to my job.
Okay, I have a question. I still don't get it. If we need another deputy clerk, why did you fire the old deputy clerk?
We can't discuss the reasons
Well,
for terminating an
that's 'cause of
employee in
problems with
open
the
session. You're putting the city at great risk by trying to
No,
do
you
so.
are putting the city at great
Thank
risk.
you, Kim.
I would go
Next.
along with hiring, considering another deputy clerk if we're not gonna have a comptroller treasurer for a while, and their budget restraints are a little bit lifted with that, I suppose, but I don't know, her duties can be, I don't mind putting an ad out, taking applications for it, I'm not opposed to that, and seeing what we get. Cause it'll take a month or two to get applications and weed through them and.
What about a 20?
additionally, there may be some breathing room. My understanding was, my predecessor was hourly, I'm salary, so
Right,
budgetarily, there might be a little.
right.
What about, hire somebody for payroll 20 hours a week?
I have not been doing payroll myself, so I can't personally
That would be a different designation than
do it.
deputy clerk, it would be a deputy treasurer actually, but I suppose it could fit in there. You could assign payroll duties to a deputy clerk, I would guess. But I wouldn't be opposed to that. If we're gonna be shorthanded for the next month or two, we might need another deputy, or we might begin the process of looking for one. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
My big question is budget. How do we budget for it? Any extra positions?
Well, it's not in the budget.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Understood.
My understanding is with my, what the person before me made was
We have $10,000 between the old clerk
significantly.
salary and the new clerk salary. Okay.
And if I may
She had a
interject,
higher rate.
She
She
was
had more
doing
time.
administrative work as well.
and if I may interject, if the city would either A, get out of the banking business, or B, decide to start working proactively and tracking and collecting on the loans they've made. From a cash flow standpoint, we more than would cover the cost of an additional deputy.
That's off subject. Why aren't we?
Because it's about well, we're not in the finance committee, but we are talking about hiring the benefits of hiring another deputy clerk. And also, I do want to point out that since we're talking about hiring, and it is related, that it is the finance committee that is responsible for the administrative offices of the city, including the comptroller treasurer. So I'm going to put it upon the committees and the council to take care of the hiring and filling these roles. It's your duty, it's your responsibility, it's your legal obligation by statute. And that's not deniable.
Nobody's denying it.
The rules are changing again.
That's interesting, Kim.
Yeah.
6209, you should read
You
it.
hired other people.
So, let's continue
Your
forward.
recommendation.
Would anybody care to make a motion as it relates to hiring an additional deputy clerk? And I'll remind you, there's 2 more meetings to go yet this evening. Would anybody care to make a motion? Going once,
I'll make a motion to look for additional deputy clerk.
okay, the motion is by Roger Smith. The motion is to look for, explore hiring
Explore hiring a new deputy
a
clerk.
new deputy clerk, posting the position,
Please post the position.
using our normal previously approved
Yes, please.
hiring standards.
Yes, please.
That's a motion.
That's the motion. Can I just ask a question about
Please.
when we say standards, what are we putting?
So
What
I
are we putting into that?
What we're talking about is posting a position, I would say much in the same way we posted for the prior deputy clerk. And then we aligned the fees of posting the job and those types of things. I don't remember what the amount was. I do remember Jack had it and made that motion for some reason. But in any case,
Are we putting a dollar amount on this? Or are we putting part-time, full-time? I mean, I think we need to be a little more specific with the motion. Just to.
I'll defer to those that work in City Hall. Annie, can you live with part-time?
I mean, obviously, full-time would always be ideal, but part-time is better than nothing. So if that's what middle ground makes it work,
I would recommend looking for somebody full-time.
It's your motion, which way you wanna go?
Full-time.
All right, so the motion is on the table is to hire a full-time, you said post, excuse me, thank you.
I mean, if we need to discuss it further to bring a resolution, what other folks are thinking, then we should table the motion and continue the discussion, because I think it's important enough that we need to find a resolution. And I don't want to kill it just because I said I recommend full-time.
Well, for discussion purposes, if you wanted to recommend or make a motion to hire a deputy clerk, somebody could second that, and you could then, it would then be open for discussion, and you could amend as needed.
He's just telling you to change your motion. That's all he's doing. Just to make it simplified.
Just
so you can
simplify,
open
say
up.
you move to hire a deputy clerk.
I moved to hire a deputy clerk, sorry.
I'll second your motion, for the sake of discussion.
All right, it is open for discussion.
I myself can't see, going into something like this and we don't even know where we're at. And we keep hiring people, giving more money. Where's it coming from?
I think that's a fair point, and I would ask other members of the council maybe counterpoint that if you wanted to offer maybe a differing view and opinion.
I mean,
Interesting.
looking at, you know, the citizens. You know, whatever, we keep on adding more positions and more positions. I mean, the taxes are gonna have to go up. And, you know, that's a given. I mean, because we can't sustain, we couldn't sustain all of these new positions that are being requested on the budget that we currently have.
If I may, and just for one moment. And possibly even for good reasons, but over a period of years, the city made cut after cut after cut and made decisions on covering operating expenses versus taking care of the house kind of thing. Perhaps it was all motivated simply by keeping taxes low. That's great. My taxes, I look at my property tax bill every year, I lose my mind how high the property taxes are. The state of Wisconsin is within the top 10 highest property tax states in the country. Boy, we've done a very good job with the budget to the best of our ability, but we've been flying blind for 18 months. We're finally starting to see the daylight. As this investigative process has come about, as the result of our annual audit, and certain questions come up, it's necessitated us to go into files and do some research. And what's interesting is, as you pull a thread and do some research on what's going on here, what's going on there, you're gonna find out we are involved in lines of business we have no business being in. Get out of it. And if we will just tighten our belt by scaling back the businesses we're involved in and prudently budget and allocate funds to staff appropriately, you're going to find that middle ground. You will find net positive.
But
Addition by
businesses are
subtraction.
going about, we divested ourselves of the golf course. The tag center we're stuck with, that's the horse we have to keep feeding. What other businesses are we in?
I would make a recommendation, a very strong, I would implore the common council to dissolve the revolving loan fund. I would implore the council to stop involving itself in superfluous activities that have been channeled through the CDA over a number of years. I think we've gone beyond the scope of what our mission statement is.
I agree with you,
And I've
but those are
asked.
things the citizens want.
And
Those
I've
things
asked,
associated
and I
with
had
it.
a very specific reason for asking you 2 weeks ago. The alderpersons, come to City Hall and go through some boxes and start looking at this stuff.
We're getting off subject.
No,
Just
the
let them,
subject
just
is,
let them talk for a minute, hear them out. I think everybody needs to just, and this is off topic, but I will say this. I've tried my best to remain calm here. I think others have done very well. I think we all need to just stay calm, let each other talk. Try to limit your time to a minute or two if you can, and move on to help facilitate this, so we can actually go home at some point tonight.
That would be
While effectively accomplishing something.
very constructive and helpful. Thank you, Alder Grace. So I will get off my soapbox. It's never an easy decision to spend more money. I would simply say if we spend some time looking in the back office, there's ways that we can divest ourselves from activities that will find money. There's one phrase, it drives me nuts. I say it over and over again. People talk about extra money. Like there's no extra money, but we've found a way to make $40,000 loans to people. We shouldn't be doing that. So I'm just saying we should divest ourselves of things that put the city at risk and invest in things that are going to help the city operate better and offer better service to the citizens of Mayville. And I'm off my soapbox.
I support Roger's, not only because he's a cousin, but I support Roger's motion because I've had four people who commented, and I don't know, I hope we didn't start summer hours yet. 4 people who mentioned last Friday and about 10 at least 10 who've mentioned during the election and that period, that it would be nice if somebody, if the doors were always unlocked and the city hall was accessible because they wanted to get a cat license or a dog license or do something. And unfortunately, the compensatory time off, we had our new deputy clerk shadowing our clerk in a communications meeting. So there was nobody here to talk to citizens when they came to City Hall. And I insist that there be somebody to talk to the citizens. It's their building. And if that will help facilitate customer service, I'm all for it.
How about 3 of you work out there? Just leave the mayor and the comptroller in the room and everybody else go out there.
Which 3?
The clerk.
Nicole?
Whoever works back there.
Nicole?
The other cities I visited, they're all out there for the public to see.
Whatever. This is still deputy clerk. I think it would be helpful to have another one.
So I think Jack brought up a really good point, you know, how do we pay for it? And we were going to outsource the payroll to ADP, so I think there's some dollars there we can talk about. Obviously, we're gonna spend some dollars on software, so maybe it doesn't completely answer the sale, but I think that would help pay for that, is one thought that I have. So I don't think we're just, I think there's some areas that we can pull the funds from without compromising our core objective of serving the citizens.
And Annie did point out that her salary is less than the former clerk, so there is some budget room there. If you're taking, isolating that part of the budget, I suppose.
As near as I can tell, our previous clerk figured out a way to work around the lack of personnel, and one of those would be salary and get paid by the hour. You're back.
Yeah, she goes paid for salary, and then they're allowed to take compensatory time off. But
that
she had
was-
other, yeah, she had other duties. She was the clerk of the CDA, which is silly. She was the clerk of the.
Well, she did a phenomenal job.
Right, she did.
She did a phenomenal job.
But she had to take time off Friday and Monday to cover for her meeting, for being at the meetings at night. Now, the compensatory time off for this meeting, for example, if it goes another 2 hours, will be probably a whole day for.
But we haven't been able to do it because
Yeah.
there's.
Or you'll get it sooner or later. Keep track. But yeah, for that reason, I support looking for an additional deputy for now.
I just want to make sure Jack's question is answered to his satisfaction, if it's possible.
Yep.
I agree that, you know, we should, if somebody, a citizen comes to City Hall, they should be able to talk to somebody. You know, get questions answered. That's why they came here. I just, you know, if we can find someplace to get, you know, some money to pay for this without, you know, we don't know where we're at right now, so.
And I figured we just
That's
didn't
what
need one that bad because they let one go. So couldn't have been that much of a need.
Excuse me, I have to get a drink of water, you people.
I mean, I'm inclined to investigate it for sure. I just, you know, are we gonna put a price tag on it and get some specifics and move forward? As at this point, we're just talking circles.
Yep.
And it's good conversation to an extent, but we're not accomplishing anything. So what's the dollar amount on the current deputy clerk? Anybody know? Off the top of their head?
I remember correctly, it's 1850.
Something, I think it was up to 19, but I could be wrong, but I think we had advertised 17 to 19, it's like a range.
A range of 17 to 19 is what we had advertised. Okay.
So,
Well, just crunching a quick number on that without benefits or any of the necessary taxes being paid. We can rebudget for it. Use that, landfill money to cover the salary for the first year. That's an option.
I think it is a service to the community. I think that is.
We just need to appropriately work it into the budget next year and not have to have use our backup money from something else.
If I may, with going back and cleaning up some of the benefits, I've been able to recoup probably close to $30,000 that the city has paid in. That obviously helps the budget this year, and then with some of the other staffing changeovers and changeovers in benefits, and we have some cushion where people, other people that had benefits and now some other people don't need those benefits, so we have some cushion there.
Were you able to claw back the money that was, like the money that was paid in the previous police chief?
I have been, yes,
Okay, good.
as much as possible, but almost 30,000. And then, going forward, my presentation from last week, I have been able to present it properly. What I was trying to point out is with the lack of not having these procedures and everything being such kind of a mess the last few years, or lack of proper staffing. In the end, we've been paying a lot towards extra, very expensive auditors, accountants, doing all this cleanup. So I think the small investment now to get appropriate staffing and have the dual controls and the internal controls up front will save you from hopefully next year having to go through the same process.
Okay, when you say additional, additional audits, don't we get audited on a regular basis?
We audit every year. The last few
So
years,
now,
we paid in excess because we needed them to provide additional services to clean things up and to do things where there's been deficiencies within staffing.
okay,
So
what years were these?
if you look back at the presentation I put together last year, but you are paying more. And now this year we're paying for special audit. We paid considerable amounts in legal fees that hopefully if we have additional staffing out front, then your clerk and your comptroller would have more time to do things properly and maybe not have to go out as much and leave some of the legal fees. So the idea of this position is to free up some of their time. So I think in the end.
So this one position will help
That's originally why we asked for it,
greatly. I mean,
is we don't have the time to be doing what we should be doing appropriately because we're doing a lot of all the, all of the tasks and things like that. If we had additional help on some of that.
okay, we've heard, we've also heard, about other positions. Where does it end?
Like which, you have an example?
An HR person. And just being proposed as a full-time job, an HR person.
I think you guys, there's gonna be ways you can structure it, but you are right now lacking, an administrator,
And
HR,
an administrator.
payroll, and proper dual controls out front.
So Jack, I think what's on the table is the proposal is if we have an additional deputy clerk that they can
free some time up, I
There's some
guess.
time up, so they can cover some HR, and they can cover some payroll, and some of the tactical stuff. I don't think anybody proposed that we hire a full-time HR person.
Not yet, but. I mean, this clerk position here, okay, now there's two ways that we've heard with the $30,000 that you said you dug up or got back. So, okay, I mean, so we don't have to dig into our pockets, you know, any deeper than we already am. So,
Those were mistakes the previous comptroller made. And trust me, plenty of us had brought up mistakes as they came along. We didn't do anything about it, but she was able to call back. But hopefully, if we straighten it out, we won't make those same mistakes. We won't continue to pay benefits to employees after they left. And that's an HR clerk to make sure the benefits ended and so forth and so on. But right now, we're the size we are, and we have the structure we have. And what is needed, what is appropriate, and what is affordable is all arguable. There is no, we didn't hire somebody to come in and tell us what we're doing wrong. Exactly, we hired somebody to come in and to do it right. And we can, there are lots of opinions about how much structure you need and how much you can afford. But right now, it's tough to afford it. Mainly because we paid a premium to get what we have now. And I'm disappointed that the premium isn't paying off.
I heard the premium found you $30,000 this year.
Pardon me?
I said, I heard the premium found you
Yes,
$30,000.
Yes, she did.
It
Well,
really is not about performance. It's just about volume of work. Right now, with the volume of work, you do not have the staffing for anybody to double check anything.
We need our,
I do payroll, there's nobody to look it over. You know, there's nobody, normally you would have things put together, there'd be staffing that you could run things by.
it might be the right thing to do, but that's not normal around here. We haven't done it that way for a long time, and that's why
And,
we have to
and
make
things
mistakes.
show.
Maybe we need somebody that's here 5 days a week in
Well,
person.
that's a shot too.
What does that mean?
let's not go there.
No, this is not, you're taking me wrong. There you go. You're all taking me wrong.
So
All right, please explain.
Well, you work from home a couple days a week, right?
actually, I don't, because I haven't been able to take advantage of that yet.
Okay, I don't know. I don't keep an eye on you.
Okay, so no, I haven't been able to take advantage of it.
Okay,
Because
But
I've
I
been
do
professional
think-
enough to be here when I need to be here.
okay. I don't know when you're here. I don't keep track.
Exactly.
I don't care. I'm just worrying about having people here 5 days a week during open hours is more my drive here.
I think we're in agreement on that. I don't think there's any disagreement there.
Okay. That was my point.
Okay, so back to the original question, the original motion on the board.
okay, we gotta put some specifics, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. So 17 and 19 an hour, we're looking for a full-time deputy clerk. That's the specifics, right? Am I clear on that? If
I
we've
think
been
that
following
is
along?
accurate. Post the job, assign how much budget you want to allocate for posting that job. Authorize posting it at 17 to 19 an hour, full-time deputy clerk position.
Is that your motion, Roger? In a nutshell?
That is my motion in a nutshell, and I will reaffirm that motion.
I will continue the second on that one.
All right. Has been made by Roger Smith, second by Alderman Reese. Is there any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Alderperson Roger Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Aye.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Nay.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Jack Abbott.
All right,
Motion carries. 4-1. All right, next item, discuss with possible action necessary changes to phone system for remote work capability. I don't know what this is about. Does somebody want to take a
I
position
threw
and
it on
present
there.
this?
Yep, I threw it on there. And Anastasia had given me a little bit of an update on this. Going on about almost 2 weeks ago now. I just need to find it here real quick.
Sure.
So Anastasia, you're still pretty familiar with what the phone issue is, right?
I am, yes. So the phone, system has the capability of voicemail to email. So that way you can get your, basically listen through your email at home. Around the time the spring election happened, we had put in a help ticket, to get it fixed because it stopped working, which they had told me previously happens with some regularity. When they tried to work on it remotely, they weren't able to access it. So they brought someone in-house to look at it, and he still wasn't able to get what he needed to be done. So then I asked they send me an email specifically with what's going on. And they had told me that our care warranty expired January 31st, 2022. Right now with the phone systems we have, the voicemail to email is no longer working. Users are no longer able to access the phone web portal, and they could not gain remote access to our My Telephone System Administrator application. They threw out an annual price on what it'd be to fix it, or we went with a monthly amount. I did ask them to send me specifications on what we had previously had with this care warranty all involved. When I had spoken to him on the phone, he made it sound as if we needed to, like we were operating off a older version, like they would suggest we update it. So I'd asked them to provide me more of a comprehensive quote so I can show you all what they actually say we need, or at least what we need to get it fixed so we could utilize that function again. I am still waiting. I have sent a follow-up email. Unfortunately, a lot of these places have been very slow to get us the information we want. But it is something I continue to follow up. I mean, in the meantime, we still get our calls, we still get voicemails, we still can, you know, if someone wasn't here, you could take your desk version and forward it to someone else's extension. But yeah, that voicemail to email, which is handy when you're not on site, just is not working right now.
The next question. So I get emails periodically that say the Mayville phone system has left you a message and there's a voice.
That's what
file,
it should be
but
doing, but it's not.
But there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's not working.
Okay, all right.
Is this an equipment issue or a private, I mean, a contract issue with Spectrum? Did you say Spectrum? That's.
Mitel is the phone provider.
So is it equipment issue? Is they say our equipment is outdated? Or are they saying?
Yeah, I think
It's
The online
outdated and
product.
broken at the same.
But I
time.
don't think you would get a return on your investment by upgrading the phone system.
How important is this?
I don't think it's, my opinion, it's not that important. Our phones, you call City Hall, you dial an extension, it reaches that extension. We do have some employees that are out and about in town, DPW parks, and I know how to reach people as needed. City Hall knows how to reach people as needed.
If there is a extended period of time, someone needs to be gone, say they're going on vacation or something, we do still have that ability to forward their physical phone calls in-house from their phone station to someone else. And we have utilized that in the past.
So if we can fix it, we want to fix it. What if we don't have to spend a bunch of money?
I think leaving it as is probably fine. Some of you might find it refreshing, but I don't want to spend more money.
I can also, you know, and once they do provide me a quote, I'd be happy to bring it back around for you to see what they're actually offering and if it's something, you know, you feel that the employees really need to utilize or not. I feel there are ways to work around it, but
I want to ask a question if I may. Chief, on the police department side, are you on the same phone system or a different phone system?
Same phone system.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I had. So
Put this on, are you satisfied with that?
I'm not 100% sure.
we
Yes,
can table, gather more information, wait for the quotes?
I'd like to just see the quotes on what it is and know, like, what are we paying for the service now, if anything? Because if we're paying for the service and it's broken, then we really shouldn't be paying for the service.
And I think she had said, or told me
Yeah.
earlier, we're out of warranty. That's the issue too.
Okay,
So it's a warranty thing. How old is that? Do you have any idea? How long ago the phone system? It's gotta be
About 12 years old.
12 years, okay. So. Let's gather the information and revisit.
yeah, let's just leave it be.
Okay.
So even if we
Oh,
have
you
to
didn't-
read it, it'll still be.
just bring it back.
What's that?
Just bring it back next.
Yeah, you can just let it come back next month, and if you have numbers, then we'll go off of that.
All right, perfect. Thanks, everybody. All right, does anybody care to discuss or take possible action regarding remote work capabilities until said remote phone issue is resolved?
Based on what we just learned, I think we're okay. Just leave that one be.
Thank you. All right, item number 4, discuss with possible action payroll processing day. Who would like to start?
I put it on there, so I'll go.
Okay.
The payroll processing day, I don't want to say it changed a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. But it definitely wasn't the same as what we were all used to. So I just need to know what day are we processing payroll on? When do we want to do that? Because for me, for 2 years, payroll was always processed and checks deposited in my account on Thursday going into Friday morning.
Sure.
And my concern is that we have all of our city employees that are on staff that got hit with this and it was unexpected. Now, is it the biggest deal in the world? Maybe not, but I think when we have a big change like this, it's something that we should speak to first and then act when it's going to impact so many people, financially.
Let's, I guess I would offer a simple solution, and that would be the council can act tonight. Just change the official policy. I think there's 2 conflicting statements inside the employee handbook. And I don't think we need to resolve those conflicts right now, but I think as a council, it would be appropriate to make the motion to amend payroll processes so that it officially states we process payroll on Wednesday as
See,
opposed
and
to Thursday.
If I can clarify, I think part of the conflict in the handbook is that it says that payroll is paid on Friday.
Right,
So there's probably an issue with, like, if we use the word processing,
sure,
that's very different.
right. And
Now,
I would say, so I would say, I think in practice, and I'm sorry, I spoke over you. but-
you're fine.
Okay, but I think in practice, we processed Wednesday, deposited on Thursday, so it sits in the account on Friday. I know sometime, and the
Financial
federal,
institutions.
the NACHA system,
Yep,
you, depending on whether you're a credit union with post real time versus a bank which posts in batch, it can result in different times where the funds become available. And the easiest and cleanest way to do it is change it so that we make the deposit on Thursday. It processes overnight, so regardless, bank, credit union, your funds are sitting in your account Friday morning.
and I think that's probably what the employees are expecting.
Sure.
And I know me as an employee out in the world anywhere, like my deposits for my regular job are always there on Friday, so I don't know how they do it. I just don't want a big change for people that is gonna offset them, and I think if it says paid on Friday, it should be in their account on Friday.
So I would-
Available
Available to them.
on Friday.
Well, I mean, again, NACHA is the federal e-funds processing thing, like they have some specific guidelines they have to process.
Yeah,
So we've got to get them to the bank on Thursday. There's 3 cutoff times throughout the day. We got to get them to the bank on Thursday. And by federal law, those funds will be available the next morning in your account.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I would just go back to old school. I think most of us probably remember getting a paper check.
Sure.
When you got your paper check, you could take it to the bank and have that money at the same day. So sure, I would just keep it the same.
All right, so let's, well, I got one question. What about, the 3-day weekend things for
So,
holidays?
well, we have the spring holiday, which is the Friday, we process on Wednesday in order to make sure it was there on Thursday in advance of the holiday.
So that would be a caveat.
Yeah. So look, I would say it would make sense just to keep everything clean. Here's, part of the reason we get ourselves in trouble is inconsistency in record keeping. Make the official record that we process on Wednesday, we deposit on Thursday. For ACH, we process ACH on Thursday, so it's available Friday morning,
With the exception of.
with the exception of a holiday, so Friday's a holiday.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, like, put the exception in there. So
Yeah, let's do it.
there's no.
Are you good with it? Do you have it?
Motion to process ACH on Wednesday,
Process payroll.
deposit Thursday,
Thursday, yep,
exception of holidays.
yes. Okay, one minute,
Who's
so-
officially making the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Alderman Reese, Alderman Bob Smith seconds. Any further discussion? All right, let's take a roll.
When am I gonna take it back?
Oh, I would say let's make it effective immediately. Next payroll.
I don't see any reason to wait on it.
Yeah, Can we do that?
I'm just saying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, all right.
All right.
Any further discussion? We'll take the roll.
Alderperson Reese,
Aye.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Aye.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Aye.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Aye.
Alderperson Roger Smith.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next item. Discuss with possible action, updating the employee handbook. Does anybody wish to present?
Oh my God.
I thought we were gonna get together on this.
So,
This normally is a workshop that happens like chapter at a time,
okay,
and it's,
would you like to?
Normally, a workshop that happens chapter at a time, and we are
Right.
running long. I will make a motion to table this.
All right, motion table,
I'll second that.
second by Abbott, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion is tabled, I'll take
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Jack Abbott,
One second.
second by Kim Olson, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn 8:03. Next meeting,
Public safety.
public safety, Jack Abbott. Right,
Public safety is
not Jack Abbott,
Joe Reese, I think.
Joe Reese,
No, it's Kim.
Still,
still Kim Olson.
Still Kim Olson.
Kim Olson.
All right, public safety. You pass that. to Kim.
I don't use that thing.
It's been polished so much, it's put right on the table.
Public safety meeting together, 8:24. Call to order, roll call, please.
Alderperson Kim Olson,
Here.
Alderperson Bob Smith,
Here.
Alderperson Roger Smith.
Here.
We have quorum.
Approval of the minutes from March 27th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second. Are there any citizens' comments?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are there any citizens' comments pertaining to public safety? Seeing none. Monthly EMS report.
We do have them via Zoom, so Christine or Julie, if you'd like to unmute.
Can you hear me okay? Yes? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So calls for service, nothing's changed there. You guys know how incredibly busy we are. That continues today. I'm tracking about the same as where we were last year for calls for service. Training, Julie, are you unmuted?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. We are going to be working on narrative writing this month. And again, just continually working to final renewal for our license. We're over probably half finished with that. So hopefully we'll get finished up here shortly.
Okay, as far as staffing goes, number 3, we're doing very well on our staffing. We do have another individual that's approached us that's interested. She's an RN currently. So we did have a meeting scheduled with her tonight and she had to cancel. So we'll reschedule that in the future. So again, we're willing to talk to licensed individuals, but we are quite full with finishing our students and our trainees. So our staffing numbers look good and we've been able to staff all of our calls and beyond. I've changed up our order a little bit here. I'm also going to speak at these meetings about fundraising and equipment. We have our golf outing coming out. You've probably seen it on our Facebook page. So we wanted to make sure everyone is aware of that. That's our primary fundraiser for the year. Also wanted to mention that we did receive a grant from Marshfield Medical Center for over $30,000. We were able to purchase 2 new they're automated CPR devices. We call them our Lucases. That's the formal name for them. So we did make that purchase and we will be meeting with them soon to collect that check. We had to buy them and also pay for them prior to them releasing the funds to us. So we were very excited about that. And for number 5, I don't have anything miscellaneous for tonight. Do any of you have any questions for us?
I have a question, real quick. One of my friends pulled up to the EMS building and requested emergency service. Is that an issue? Should I discourage people from doing that?
No, we don't have a problem with that. Hopefully we have somebody in the building. The only thing is we can't guarantee that somebody's there 24/7. If Julie's out on a call, that might be a problem, but no, and we never discourage them. If we're not in the building, they can simply call 911. So we do actually have that happen more frequently than one would think.
They did it because they referred your service to the alternative.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, we want them to be safe for sure.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Chris and Julie.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Hey, monthly fire department report, equipment update.
Good evening. How are you tonight?
Hello.
For equipment, we did have all our ground ladders and hoses finally tested. That was done last weekend. We failed about 5 lengths of hose altogether. We did take our 35-foot ground ladder out of service. It failed because one rung is bent in the middle of it, so I got to see if we can get that fixed. Otherwise, we might have to buy a new 35-foot ladder, but I will do my darndest to try to get it fixed and still get it recertified. Anything on hose testing or ground ladder?
Were the hoses rotted or were they?
3 of them were 99 hoses and they failed on the inside. One was only 3 years old and I forget how old the other one was. So, but that's done now.
A bunch of new ones. A little while
Yes,
back.
yes. Like right now, I only gotta I'm buying 6 new hoses to replace the ones that failed. Because we buy SPS 330, we gotta have so much replacement to keep the truck in service wise with. So other equipment, stuff like that. Not usually, because of the atmosphere and the conditions it's used in. The biggest nemesis for hoses is metal. Because around corners and stuff, you'll catch it and, or nails. So, and usually you can't fix those hoses. They have to be taken out of service and out of the building.
You do drive for your wheels back up.
Yes, yes.
Some tape and bandage don't work.
No, you can't, because if you're putting 200 pounds of pressure on there, you want to be standing next to it if it goes still.
Probably got something.
Yeah. We'll do that on another day. The only other thing is our pump tests and maintenance is gonna start. It's tentatively scheduled for June. The SCBA compressors tentatively scheduled for July. And then our flow tests on our SCBA's is due in June. We're still on the table. I've been trying to start this rotation of this hydraulic lift cylinders. But the company I'm using, they have emergency breakdowns. This is something that has to get fixed. But they have another fire department's got a truck down that has priority. We will get it done this year. Any questions on that? Other than that, then we'll move into personnel. We're still currently at 19 members. Our newest member will be starting class this fall to do firefighter 1 and hazmat. And currently with our 3 members enrolled in firefighter 2, their practical is like the 3rd week of May. And then we have another individual that's doing driver, operator, aerial and pumper. His practical is like the 18th of May, I think. So by the end of May, everybody that's in school right now should be done with their practicals. Now, once they pass that and they pass the written test, then it's up to 30 days before I see their certificate online. As soon as I see their certificate online, I can let them do other things. Like I have a member right now that's passed everything, but I haven't seen her certificate online. Say I can put them in harm's way. Once I see that certificate online, then I can let them do it, because I know once I see it online, we'll have it within 10 days. So sometimes the stage is very quick, other times it might take 30 days. So that's all I have on personnel at this time. Any questions on that?
You're pretty sure that the 3 are gonna stay, sometimes they get certified and go somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I think these 3 will. The ones that are in school right now will be here for a while. And we're still trying to get more members. You know, a lot of people don't want to put the 130 hours that they gotta put in. So, all right, Mike will do fire calls.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Good evening. We've got 25 calls year to date at this point, and we've had 5 since our last meeting. We had one that was for a smoke alarm. One that was a motor vehicle accident, one search and rescue. There was one call where we were out of way to Wikikoski on a field fire. And then one for a wreck call for Knowles Fire Department. So it was a Mavis call. So right now we're at 25 year to date. Any questions?
Okay. I think about it last week, you know.
It's a little slow right now.
Yeah, we're down. Yeah, we were averaging what, 10 calls last year a month. We were down right now, we're at 25 and we're almost 4 months in group. So yeah, and it's okay.
All right.
Like one of the 2 things you want to see go down.
Yeah, and we're okay with it. So
We're not complaining.
no.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian, you're up. Department update.
Sorry, Ryan. 3.
What's that?
3.
Department update, staffing wise, we're still down 1 officer with, workman's comp injury from at work. We're expecting him back hopefully by the end of the summer. But otherwise, they're a detective position that we're filling in and we're getting everything covered with that. Calls wise, we're about 60 behind from last year, which is pretty close in comparison. Summer's coming up, so we're getting ready for that. With the programs we have with National Night Out coming up in August, and we're continuing with our Citizens Police Academy, which is going well. So everybody's staying busy. All the officers, as far as training wise goes, I've all completed their mandatory in-service, which has to be done prior to June 30th. So that's all done and completed. And that's about it. Equipment wise, one of the only things that I caution for equipment is we did have on our to borrow for this year for the department. Capital improvements was 4 to 5 computers for our squads, because our current MDCs, as we call them, the data centers that the officers use every day, are getting to be about 5 years old. And we had planned on replacing those with capital improvements this year. Our current computers are still functional and working, but we're getting to the point with those where it's either update them or move them on. In my experience, trying to update a 5 to 6 year old computer just doesn't work. Not something that's used every day. So I'm looking to purchase those computers for next year, and I know that's for a budget talk. for next year's budget, but just to caution the council at this point that we haven't had any issues with that, but those are basically the heartbeat of what the officers use every day to take calls and that. So I want to get those updated as, you know, at the latest next year.
It was a fast 5 years. I remember. It seemed like yesterday that.
Yeah.
you got those.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. As far as that goes, any questions on any of that or anything else?
And
Well, I
when-
promised you I would ask a question.
Sure.
Well, one question. Any update on are you on the investigations into the ledge, whatever, or are you waiting for forensic audit results?
Right. So the sheriff's department is doing, you know, started an investigation, and anything that they continue on at this point, and I'm not privy to that, that's their investigation, is relying on the outcome of the special audit.
Is there actually a case number? Because I can't find one.
I could tell you that.
And then, very well.
Okay, as long as you're up here, unless anybody else has.
Well, one more quick question. You
Sure.
leave that squad unmarked,
Which one?
the one that's not marked.
There's 3 of them there.
You gonna leave them that way?
The plan is to leave one of the newer squads, which is the newest one we have, we're gonna leave unmarked. And we have 3 marked squads and 3 unmarked squads at this point. 2 of the squads are quite old. That the detective uses for A to B, and the other one, the lieutenant will use for training back and forth. So that's the plan right now.
So they will, 2 of them will be marked.
There's 3 marked right now.
So you're gonna mark 2 of the 3 that are left unmarked right now?
Right, yeah.
As long as you're up there. Okay, so we got semis going down Rita Bush,
Okay,
and I did call Jack.
Well, you want to just, he's up there, but address the fact that you're moving to the next
Oh,
agenda item.
okay, thank you. I'm moving on to the next agenda item. Sorry, guys. Number 7, the discussion possible action. I did talk to Jack about this. I think maybe a bigger sign.
yeah. The issue I've seen with Ruta Bush from time to time is they're coming up off of South Main. Is that what you're saying? Or are they coming off of like
John,
John?
yeah,
Okay. The issue with John Street is generally when these out-of-state truckers come through town, they're operating on a GPS,
mhm.
and that's what they're following. And the number of them that we've stopped, that's been the problem. So I don't know how to change that or do that. We do have a pretty big sign on John Street, right at Oricon Street, but they just disregard it. So,
Do they?
yeah, because I've stopped it myself.
I wish they would disregard South John
Do you mind
altogether.
if
I do too.
Mind if I make a comment?
Yeah.
So as someone with a CDL, I drive a pretty heavy truck almost every day of the week. Sometimes you just don't see a sign, like it's there.
It is.
And you could put the biggest sign there in the world, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, when you drive into Porticon, they actually have all of their restrictions laid out on one sign.
Yeah.
How am I gonna read that,
Right.
even at 25 miles an hour? It's just, there are some things that unfortunately are really, really hard for truck drivers to read. And I'm just gonna take a guess, most of the time they probably get the benefit of the doubt because you know that, you know, so I'm not helping your cause here at all.
I
I'm
didn't
just
get
trying to
that.
make it understandable why these things can happen because
Yeah,
I speak from experience and I want people to know it's being a heavy truck driver is not the easiest thing in the world and you're trying to pay attention to a lot of things and overlooking that sign is pretty easy.
Yeah, and we've looked into trying to, you know, inform people in the companies that these trucks are going to have been very supportive and they put it out in their newsletters and their load dockets. It's a piece of paper that goes out. But I mean, we get truck drivers from all over the country and I mean, some ways all over the world that don't even speak English. So it's just gonna be one of the things that we have to just keep an eye on and monitor.
There's no GPS that I'm aware of that has like a truck route on it to where they can actually follow the truck route and avoid some of these side streets that have limitations.
Yeah, we actually looked into the regulatory science behind who makes and does the GPS stuff and it's all dependent. There's no standard or anything to see if we can maybe get something changed with
There's
that.
2 things they can see. One is the rope chain that's supposed to be across the crate factory. Is that back up?
It is not up. It was not up as of today. And
It's been a long time.
yeah,
They're supposed to have it. The other thing is the machine, the thing I suggested you buy with the flickering light,
The radar.
this radar with the solar battery, that hasn't seemed to work lately.
it's in the office right now and we charge it. We think maybe we need a new solar panel or something. So we're looking at that.
Can you do me a big favor?
Sure.
Just give me a thumbs up, noted, okay, anything. Let me know you're getting my email when I send you one, once in a blue moon.
I haven't gotten one from you recently. I'm gonna
Really?
sent one recently. I can't recall that I've gotten it.
Okay,
If I would, I would respond to it.
yeah, just that you got it.
Sure.
Sure, just recommend send him an email now, so that way you got a test and he'll be able to know tomorrow. whether or not-
I'll do it when I get home.
Yeah, but as far as I know, I don't recall anything
Okay.
of me recently.
All right.
And
You're
my
pretty
phone
good
calls
about
up, please.
responding. I seem to talk to you every day. It looks like you're doing wrong.
There's a follow-up.
And I try not to bother you any more than I have to. Okay, I think that's it unless,
Any other questions, concerns?
No, good job.
Thanks.
all right, thanks, Ryan. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned at 8:42 PM, City Hall time.
We only got one left.
All right, we have one left, Public Works.
Calling to order, Public Works meeting, April 24th, 2023, at 8:42. Approval of minutes.
Make a
Let me take
motion
the
to
roll.
approve the minutes.
Do you want me to take the roll
Oh,
quick?
yeah, you probably should take the vote.
Alderperson Jack Abbott,
Aye.
Alderperson Joseph Reese,
Here,
Alderperson Kim Olson.
Here,
We have a quorum.
Okay.
all right, you gonna do that? I'll just go through it.
Approval of minutes. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 27th, 2023.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any citizen comments regarding Public Works? None. Monthly utilities report.
I'll be Courtney and then I'll be Nick.
Okay.
So, water notes. Our request for additional funding and principal forgiveness was approved by the DNR for our well project. Principal forgiveness on the project is now $943,239. We have been granted a second extension to our 2022 private LSL funding. We now have until June 30th, 2023 to use the remaining funds in the event a lead service is found. For wastewater, the city is approved as a CDL training location. This allows us to save time and money with the newly implemented CDL law. They also said they had a TFO occur on April 1st. This occurred at the point MSA identified as a choke point and overflowed at the aeration basin. I do not have what the TFO stands for.
Bob, do you know what a TFO is?
Yeah, it's a temporary.
Overflow.
Yeah, recirculation overflow. And it happens frequently and they had, did she say if there was I can't remember, I think there might have been a small release, but it was minor.
It almost always happens, but root cause is typically heavy rain.
Yeah.
Because we have a leaky sewer system. Let water in.
Is that the end of her report?
That was it?
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Monthly engineering report.
All right, Nick says, 231 Breckenridge with the proposed martial arts studio. The owners reached out, looking to potentially start working on this again. They're waiting for the property owner to submit the conditional use permit for review. Hopper's self-storage development, the proposed self-storage development in the River Knoll Industrial Park is progressing. 2023 street and utility projects, Utility Commission has received the bids and made a recommendation to accept a bid by Kruczek, Kruczek. 2023 PMP project. The county is looking to repave County Highway B next year. The preliminary estimate shared by the county puts the city's cost of this around $25,000. The project was awarded to Northeast Asphalt. They will hold a pre-con meeting with the contractor to set the timeline of work. Hilltop Drive development. Site plan was reviewed and approved by the Plan Commission. Owner is working on permits to get started. Poplar Grove development, also known as the Dayton Street Apartments. Town and Country Underground has started installing utilities for the apartment development. Clark Street development, a proposed development for the south 5 acres of the Mayville Healthcare Realty. Plan Commission is still reviewing the proposed development.
What is it called?
He wrote Mayville Healthcare Realty.
Are they talking about the thing, the,
I think by
the nursing home?
I think so. I think he has the wrong word.
Yeah, I think that was,
With the Clark Street development, that
Right.
was, Integris had came and talked to
right.
finance before.
I don't know, check
project.
that, double check that name, because it doesn't sound right.
Okay,
This is the one from, Tom and Corey Creaser, right?
okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then Leona Street development, which I believe is all goes
Yeah,
through them. A
that's
develop,
very preliminary.
yeah, a development is being proposed for lots adjacent to and using the undeveloped Leona Street right of way. Plan Commission is reviewing the proposed development. That was Nick's report.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Monthly DPW report.
Jack
Jack?
called this morning and said he could not be here, and I asked if he wanted me to report anything, and he said nothing. I can't wait till next month.
No news is good news.
Let's take it.
Okay. Monthly park report.
Let's see,
Thanks for showing up.
No, Kathy, I'm very sorry.
Absolutely, it was all worth it with the lights and talking about that. I'm gonna make this really quick.
We're all sorry.
Wants to sit and lay longer than that. So buildings, make this real short and quick. Open up all the buildings and all the buildings are getting old. And everything's shut down for the winter. So we start things back up. We had multiple coolers that went out. Didn't start back up. We have a lot of plumbing issues out there, but I'm getting everything taken care of, but everything is up and going. Waiting for a few parts to get things, the rest of the plumbing stuff going. That's it for buildings. Okay, or even a lot more stuff. That's pretty much just, but
No more vandalism?
what's that?
No more vandalism?
Cool.
No, actually, not, usually that starts when the school's out. When school's out, so that starts picking up like that a little bit more, but yeah.
I'm ready to donate a camera.
Yeah, we're getting something in line. We're working on something now to do some.
And down by Rotary too. Wow.
We met with Rotary, yeah, they're pretty disgusted about donating that whole
Yeah.
part there and all that, but. But anyway, so yeah, that's buildings, grounds. Same thing, I'll make it real quick. We've been working in Fireman's Field, doing pretty much a facelift upgrade, partnered with a local company to help out with most of the costs. Northwest Cable, they're amazing, things are going good there, got everything going, parks are all, ready to go, get warmer weather, so. Land and everything grounds, yeah, it looks like we're getting the wastewater van, 1999, so we'll have 3 vehicles now this year for 5 people in the parks.
Did you take care of the scoreboard things? Remember you had a problem with all the scoreboards?
Oh, no, we're not doing anything with that right now. We have one remote, we can run one scoreboard. That's all we're just gonna do right now. There's nothing more that we can do with it. Unless we want to spend $2,500 on a scoreboard for an upgrade for, you know, it just doesn't make sense right now. We have a lot of other stuff we need to do instead. So,
You guys have flowers on Main Street again this year?
yep, we have them planted on the 21st of May is when we're planting. That's the the Monday before Memorial Weekend. It's usually when we're planting. So, yeah, we have everything all done. Pakistan is growing them all for us again this year, and we'll be planting them down there again on that day. Last day I got a senior center. This is always exciting. Cards and bingos, good. They are doing really well down there. And then we just finalized our July bus trip for seniors. I do want to say this. Even with everything that's happened here tonight, I haven't written down here. I'm not changing anything because of it. We've had, since I've been in this position, we've had a mess with the finances down there. We've had, the seniors isn't just what the city gives them. They have money coming in. They have a trust fund. And we haven't really known where that is. It's a lot, and it's same with the parks department. And we have a lot of, it's all revenue and other stuff coming. It's not just all that. And it's been a mess for all the years that I've been here. And I met with Angie just before my last, that's why I didn't bring nothing up like this and that. And she cleaned everything up and she got me going. This is all stuff that's been kept us from moving forward. So thank you very much for doing all that. I really do appreciate doing all that. Help us out, get stuff going forward. It's been going on for a bunch of years. I know the parts, it's a small part of everything. It's not probably as important as a lot of other stuff, but in my world, it's important. So thank you very much for doing all that. I really appreciate all your help. Yeah, it's really been helping a lot. Future park project, really simple. This is actually one of the exciting things I can say for us here. The kayak shed is moving forward. Hopefully next week we get nice weather. Met with Rotary today. They want to do another project. Looking at possibly building 2 pickleball courts, scratch up with, lights, fencing. We'll bring more. We need okay with you guys to make sure that the council make sure it's okay to go forward. Looks like it's gonna be about a $50,000-$60,000 project. We're just a few details away from kind of moving forward with it. But that's another up by Fireman's Field. So there's a batting cage just to the south of it. There's a flat spot there. Rotary likes to keep everything up at that Fireman's Field, Lions Point.
Perfect place.
With the lion, yeah, with the bathrooms are always there, parking is always there, and they're trying to make that a family area up there.
Ball's really big.
It's ginormous. But anyways, that's kind of the exciting part of it. So, that's all I have, for.
You gonna keep the pickleball by the old swimming pool?
Well, I did one of the courts myself last year with cracks, making it safe. We need a little bit more work down there, but those courts down there are pretty much gonna have to just get taken out. I mean, they're just becoming unsafe. So
Then what, after they're taken out?
well, it's either, the hard part is that they're tennis courts right now, and we have 6 new tennis courts at the high school, which were donated by Ballpark, 8-9 years ago, so we have tennis courts. So it's either stick the money into those area down there and do something with them, those courts down there. It's probably about a year away. Yeah, but that's all projects that we kind of, put in, I guess, importance and all that, so, but we'll,
Any ideas?
well, yeah, I have a lot of ideas, but it's always.
Well, I know they were playing pickleball down there once.
Yeah, well, the far court is still good, and then the second one I redid, if you look at it, pressure washed it, filled in the cracks, painted it, worked on it for a while last year, it turned out really nice. Because pickleball is so big right now, so that's it, they're able to use all that for this year, but then beyond the pickleball court, the tennis court isn't the most safe, so. So anyways, like I said, we'll keep moving forward with all this stuff, a lot of exciting stuff happening for we haven't worked with. So, any questions, anyone?
You ready to go?
Oh, you have no
Thank you,
idea. Thank you, Joe. All right, thank you, guys.
Adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:53 PM.
Yeah, I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I know, maybe your trooper just taking down.